once. You and then forget about them. So
take it or leave it.
Yes.
Oh, no.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smudcast number 687, The Little Mermaid as a Queer Allegory Explained. Okay, as an allegory, in your own headcanon, you can make up any crazy allegory. That's totally fine. Whether the Dutch writer hundreds of years ago thought this is obviously wrong, and whatever concept of life and transmogrifying into a human to gain a human soul and what it means to be a mermaid is a little different than what the interpretation is today. So we can allow for a little bit of leeway with the explanation.
The background of that story is... There's actually a gay background to the story, which is the author, Hans Christian Andersen, was gay, and he was in love with someone and couldn't open up about that.
That's nice.
And he was at the wedding of that friend of his, and he could only wish that he was the one instead of the woman, and he could never talk about it. So he wrote The Little Mermaid as a coping to that. Effectively, that's the interpretation you can go with. That would work, including with how the actual story ends, which is where Ariel does not get the prince. She is forgotten, and since she couldn't fulfill the whole thing,
Get laid.
Couldn't get the kiss.
Get laid.
Whatever. Turned into sea foam, because mermaids don't have souls, so they can only turn into sea foam. Just that there was a little bit of some mercy, where because she did some good things, she could still ascend to heaven or something.
Well, that's a nice romantic take on why that story exists and what it was for. I did not know that. That's kind of cute. Anyway, before we get into the whole Little Mermaid spiel, we have to go back and read some super chats and donations that I didn't have time to on Wednesday, and we were supposed to do it yesterday, but we didn't have a show.
Oh boy!
So if you guys remember Wednesday, we did cover the Berserk and a video of that, and the creator came on, and we had a little discussion, and that was fun. And
he thought it was a debate that had to be won.
Whatever, that's up to him. I don't mind. Anyway, let's get on with the super chats, and then we'll get on with the video. How's that? Here we go. Okay, the first one was from GigaChat. Thank you, sir, for the $4.99. Everything Griffith did was self-serving. Nothing he did was selfless. He comes to view his friends as tools. He wasn't manipulated. He wasn't coerced. Okay, that's pretty much what we were going with. Not completely 100%, but obviously there was some coercion here and there. There was probably some concern he had for Guts. There was some concern for this and that.
No, not really. Not really. I've been properly reading through Berserk now, not just these few scenes that I always knew because they were so famous, and the entire thing. Like I'm in volume 7 now, so the entire pre-story thing. You start with the knowledge that Griffith is gonna be that demon villain. So that's already revealed to you, and then you get all the backstory. So basically, you're watching this super slow motion train wreck unfolding, and every scene Griffith is in, you know, he spells it out. He doesn't give a shit about people. He gives a shit about tools. Everyone's just a tool. He saves Guts because he's his most precious tool, not because he's a friend. He spells out his definition of what he might consider a friend at some point, but even that is questionable. But all throughout, he gives these psychopath stare moments and this uncanny smile all throughout, which is his true face. When he's femto, it's just his standard look. When he's still human, that's just when his mask is falling, like when he's looking at another target, when he found, oh, that guy knows I'm playing evil things. You get these scenes where he's standing far off and the character that notices, and Griffith has this evil psychopath face. That's the real him, always. It's just that he has a mask on, like psychopaths do.
All right, let's keep going. Here's Legacy. Thank you for the super chat. Rampage in Beast Wars regrets everything he did, but he still likes to inflict pain on others and mess with his rival by saying he ate his friends. Well, there's an interesting character. I didn't know Beast Wars was that cannibalistic. Okay. Interesting. I wish I watched. I know it's a great show. I just haven't watched enough of it to appreciate it.
I didn't know you needed to be into war to like it.
Well, it's for kids, so they gotta mix it up a bit. Anyway, the Giggle Chad. Thank you for the $1. That's a tip. This guy sounds like an abused housewife telling the cops that her abusive husband didn't mean to hit me. It was an accident, and deep down he really loves me. Griffith doesn't feel true guilt like Guts. Guts tried to change Griffith, just doubles down.
Guts literally felt bad about killing Gambino. The man that sold him off to Donovan.
Yeah, it's even a scene at the Hill of Swords where like Guts straight up ask Griffith that like, hey, you don't feel even the slightest bit of remorse for the way you betrayed your friends. And he said like, I don't feel anything. I'm free.
Yeah, this was also in a video much larger watched than the one that we covered. I can't remember the guy's name, but a lot of people downvoted that and said, what are you talking about? There's all these examples and all these reasons that it does not matter whether you have compassion or this is a scene potentially the mental state is of caring and love and all these good emotions. If at the end of the day you murder said person, it's kind of moot. It's kind of pointless what you were saying and doing prior if you just killed the guy for a selfish reason. So that's why we take the position that, okay, we have the gift of foresight to know what's going to happen. Let's go back and say, okay, this is pretty much antisocial behavior. What kind? And we categorize it and say, could be NPD, it could be bipolarism, it could be all kinds of weird things, but to make it life simple.
That has nothing to do with bipolar.
It could be. There's all kinds of
Griffith?
things on an axis that you can measure. I'm sure some psychiatric
measure, yes.
You can measure it on. Yeah, you can say, okay, these flavors of antisocial behavior. So, yeah, it depends. But at the end of the day, no, he's selfish. Obviously, he's designed that way. The story made him that way. With the themes of fate and causality, it's like, okay, I guess this is how it's going to turn out, and it does. So,
I mean, when the only excuse you would have is when Zod says that not even. Or is it the narrator? I think it's Zod. Talks about what humans have control over, and it is not even their own will. So if the demon says humans do not even control their own will, then I don't think they have any control at all. Thereby, you would excuse everyone.
Yeah,
including
that happens very early on in the book too.
All right.
Yeah, but that is irrelevant
let's
to how we interpret the story.
Giga Chan for the 499 super chat. This man is basically saying, Your Honor, why am I even here? I perceive that those girls gave me consent. So really, I'm the victim in all of this. Oh, this is the Bishop Barclay SAS Persepi argument. It's like, oh, well, as soon as they saw me, I guess that's what they thought. Therefore, I perceive them to be that way. So, no.
The most obvious part, one of the several most obvious parts in that whole beginning thing is when he talks with the princess and he lays out that his dream is above everything, including family and love.
Oh, but that's a lie, you see. The whole speech was a lie. And it was
all the time. He talks about nothing but I want my kingdom and I will use everyone to get there. Everybody only serves to realize my dream. And there he says, love and family, my dream is above that. It's greater than that. A man needs something greater than that. And there you also have the justification of why he pushes that onto the band, why he is fine with sacrificing everyone, because dying for his dream is, of course, the compassionate thing to do, because now their deaths have meaning, right?
Well, the definition of a friend was also in that speech, so we have to cherry pick and say, well, part of it wasn't lying, if that's what he thinks a friend is, and that's what Guts hears, and Guts thinks to himself, okay, I am Griffith's friend, I'm going to behave as such, and he goes off and does his own thing. It's kind of hard when also in the explanation he describes it as a a Shakespearean...
The question is, who can he really see as a friend?
If that's even potential in his heart to do that, I don't even know. But the other arguments were, it was like a Shakespearean soliloquy, and I'm like laughing. I'm like, do you even know what that is?
Oh, I guess like Anakin from Star Wars prequels.
Oh yeah, that's exactly that. Yeah.
I'll bring peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new Falconia.
Yeah, if he actually spoke like this and said stuff
and the children.
Yeah, no. There's a thing called in Shakespearean, like that's why you have to watch or go to the stage to appreciate Shakespeare. It's not just monologues. There's monologues and everything. It's not what Shakespeare is. Shakespeare is meter. It is ye old English. It is rhyming. Some not necessarily always rhyming, but rhyming.
It is full of innuendo puns.
It's clever and it makes people laugh.
Yes.
Merchant of Venice has asides, which is our little not fourth wall breaking, but stepping out of the stage. That's another thing he says. This is shaped like a stage. Maybe if the stage is like the Chichen Itza, it's like a tower, this giant pyramid. It's like no, it's the opposite. What is it? What are those Greek amphitheaters? The amphitheaters are shaped concave, not like a pyramid. It's the opposite of a pyramid. So that's not how you have a stage. At most, the stage goes up to your chin so that the people sitting in the front can see the stage. They get the best seats. It's not above the eyes. So, no, it's not even a stage at all. There were funny things we wanted to get to. We didn't have time, but we're not going to go into that. Anyway.
Unless you're a child and you get first row seats because your parents are retards.
Okay. Here is the Giga Chad again for the tip at $1. Berserk's whole point is that it is a repudiation of fate being written. I don't care about the causality argument is a lot like saying you don't care about the mass surveillance and government discussion in Deus Ex. You're kind of missing the point.
Yes.
It is that with, I think, regarding Guts. I think the evil bad dude and saying it's your choice to become evil. That's kind of like the point of the narrative is to show how awesome the villain is and why he's so bad and so good at what he's doing. That's kind of a given, but Guts is the guy who's trying to stop that. So
yeah, and hey, it's pretty much in the beginning. So if you haven't read Berserk yet, do it. And even the Slug Count is a better person as a demon than Griffith is before he's a demon.
All right, here's Louis Seems Gay. All right. He scratched his arms because he was just effing molested. That's kind of what I was trying to say. Sure, it was transactional, but Griffith's thing is being in control of everyone, including himself. He was not in control. Him talking about the dead is him explaining why he did it to Casca. I was trying to relate that point, obviously not very well, that this is something even the narrative, like Guts was saying, that prideful guy, he did that when Casca was explaining that to Guts. And yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but he saw it as the fastest route to his dream. So he'd do anything. So that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, control is the prime thing these kinds of people need.
Right. Okay.
The tantrum happens when they lose it.
A few more left. Here we go. Giga Chad for the $4.99. Bro, if Griffin is guilty about the dead in this instance, why did he brutally kill the Count? If that's the case, what would even be the point? The Count of what? I'm trying to remember who he killed there.
The Slug Count?
The Count. There's a lot of people he killed. I didn't read that far to know what the Count.
There are a few counts.
Oh, was it the guy he slept with, or
Genin?
Oh yeah, the Genin.
Well, he pretty much says you are a stone along the road. He manipulated him to get money via sex. That was it. And Genin's like, I want him alive. I want to have him again. And Griffith's like, no. You're dead. Anyway. Legacy, thank you for the $4.99. Femto and Griffith are the same person. I've just been over this examples of Hulk and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Thank you. Okay. Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Again, for the $4.99. So to put it short, Griffith's transformation by the God Hand from the Slug Count is the Osborn taking the Goblin Serum. Gotcha. Osborn. Oh, okay. The Green
Osborn
Goblin.
from Spider-Man, yeah.
That's an interesting way to
Well,
compare.
the Slughound in the end decided for his daughter to not sacrifice her for eternal life.
That's a good point. He loved his daughter. That's a great comparison to Griffith, because he was also an apostle, and he says, no, I'm going to go to hell.
Yeah, I think like he tried to defend that point because they pointed out that like he still had like a shred of humanity left in him. So it's not comparable to an apostle. But whatever, let's just go on.
Bullshit.
All right, so here's today's super chats, then we'll go on with the video. Vladimir, the CIA once looked into making a meme warfare department? Really? A meme warfare department. Okay, I mean, that's a thing, I guess. You could hire social media people to do that. I've seen agencies have a social media department. I don't know exactly if they make memes.
Isn't Ukraine doing that already?
Oh, they are? With the chicks?
Yeah, with Van Damme.
The chicks at war with all the guns, the airsoft guns, and the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right, and the Giga Chat for the one. Thank you, sir. You guys ever see those shorts on YouTube that are supposed to be like really inspiring? Like maybe it's rocky footage with some song in the background and text about the value of hard work. Shiklet made one for Griffith. I think we've been trolled. I don't know. I mean, obviously the guy likes the anime. He's a fan of the villain, and more power to him. He enjoys it. If you could enjoy a villain,
no power to him.
No.
He needs to be in a cell.
Well, no. I remember
padding.
when we did the original video, I was concerned for his family life. Thankfully, half of that video to me is a joke. Like he was just saying, "Oh, this is a meme. This is another meme." I'm like, good for him. I mean, if you could have a lighthearted approach to your favorite anime for whatever reason, don't take it too seriously. It's just an anime. It's not.
If it was just a joke, then why have a discussion about it to defend it?
Well, he has his own hobbies, I'm sure, and that's one of them. And I'm not going to judge a guy just because he has bad takes or we disagree on certain interpretations. Everyone has.
I don't prejudge people, but I do post-judge.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, let us continue and get on with the video. And this is a 17.5-minute video. When did this come out? I don't even know. I'm assuming recently.
A year ago.
1 year, not even 90,000 views. Okay, maybe the take is slowing down, or their viewership is not as
maybe they can't afford the click bots anymore.
I don't know.
Well, that's a take.
They are interesting people. Anyway, let's start.
Contact between the human world and the mer world is strictly forbidden. Ariel, you know that.
Is The Little Mermaid actually a story about realizing you're queer and the world you've grown up in can't accept you?
No.
As you really are?
Okay, end of video. Thank you, guys.
Lost your senses completely.
I thought this was about an allegory, not literally queer. Come on.
At best, it is star-crossed lovers. By your logic, Romeo and Juliet are queer allegory because they live in different families. They can't their love just can't be accepted by society. Oh.
Yeah, we need to be very clear when we use the word allegory. I can ride with you if you're using terms that like subjectively interpretation of a thing. I'm okay with that. But you can't just say, "Is this really about this?" It's like, no, that's not what the theme of the story is at all. No, you get your terms right, and then we'll talk. Not changing your premise, the first sentence. Anyway.
The original Hans Christian Andersen story of The Little Mermaid is widely believed to have been a coded love letter to a man named Edvard Collin. And even in Disney's version, queer themes and parallels are visible under the surface and the sea.
That has nothing to do with the
original.
That has nothing to do with the original part. Ursula being a fat squid with bad makeup has no connection to the original story, or story's meaning, rather. You have the sea witch, but it's not a drag queen or the king or whatever.
Is that in the
Who
latest film?
longs for romantic.
No, it's the original. Like they originally were. Well, do you know that Pink Flamingo is the movie that has Divine? Like it was like an actor was drag queen also.
Right.
And Ursula was based on this person.
Oh,
but ultimately it was voiced by a woman, so because
it was planned. It was planned to have him as the voice actor as well, but they scrapped it. I think he died too.
Yeah, he died
that.
early, so
Yeah, I don't think
they
that
had
would
to
have
scrap it.
bothered anyone either, because we've had stories of men or women playing men or female parts, female parts in Disney or animated shows, and even in live action. So with guys in drag, like that's not a big deal. So.
I would rather say the voices of drag queens usually sound like crazy Disney witches. So that fits.
Okay.
That would have fit in this
All
fiction.
right, fair enough.
Romantic family vehemently objects to. She's isolated, misunderstood, and struggling to find her voice until she shares her secret self with the world and builds
No. She trades her voice away.
a new life in a community that her close-minded father has always hated and feared.
White people.
People with legs. Monkeys.
Crazy Europeans.
You're a fish.
Because mermaids exist between worlds, they have always had an analogous relationship with queerness, gender fluidity, and transition. One of the most high-profile UK charities for trans...
No.
What?
No, you bloody idiot.
That was fast.
Mermaids have a connection with dragging sailors to the bottom of the ocean,
Wait.
drowning them.
Aren't those the sirens?
Someone has a Snickers necklace.
No, it's a variation. There are many variations on mermaids. There are hypotheses that maybe it's just interpretations of dolphins, because some dolphins rescued people who got lost at sea. Other dolphins are assholes.
Do I get a Snickers if I sign up for one of these marches? Like they give you a free candy bar? Or is that...
What's weird in this Trans Rights Now march? There's only I almost entirely only see women. There's a few guys in the background. None of these women actually understand this topic or care about it. They just want to be seen as on the side of good.
Well, obviously they got
And some asshole told them, if you do this, you're on the side of good, despite you're actually doing the opposite.
Yeah, but they get candy, so obviously, that's all the energy you need for the hour. And
Oh, you mean you can just drag the women into whatever political position if you offer them candy?
well, I mean, I would probably, if I have nothing better to do downtown, it's like I got an hour to kill. I'm like, I get a Snickers bar and walk around in Toronto. No one cares. It's like, okay, great.
So if somebody offers you a Snickers, you will vote for communists?
Well, I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't mind walking around for an hour. That's got enough energy. It's nice and hot outside. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my priorities.
But you want to eat a Snickers while it's hot outside?
Well, quickly, yeah.
That thing will just drip out of the plastic
Yeah,
wrapping.
no. But maybe this is like marketing. They're sponsored by a candy. Maybe they get it like shipped to them later. That might be a good deal.
I still will take the Snickers bar home and put it in the fridge.
Well, I want
Okay, well, that's German Snickers bar.
German? Oh no, forget those. I want American. That's okay. Anyway.
Most
mermaids.
are better.
And
in
with the
this
way
fridge.
Ariel changes her body to express her true identity, there's a convincing reading of her
Her
story.
true identity is being a fish.
How,
She's half a fish. That's her true identity. That's how. But look, that's how she was born.
how did we get from a queer allegory to a trans allegory? What's happening?
It's just insane. You insist that Ariel's true form is being a human? She was born of half fish people. All her ancestors were half fish people.
All right.
She's a half fish woman.
Here is Adolf Klittler.
Insanity.
Thank you, Adolf. Listen, guys, a bunch of mentally ill weirdos wear dresses sometimes, and the other was gay, and technically an incel. So that means that Ariel is a carpet muncher, and her story is about being an ass pirate. Okay, I mean, that's your interpretation.
You mean the new movie?
You know,
Man, talk about cultural
if
appropriation.
you are so strong to wear dreadlocks in underwater, I mean, you deserve all the praise you get. Anyway,
If you're so dumb to make yourself dreadlocks underwater,
you got a strong neck to like, oh yeah, I'm swimming through the water. with dreadlocks.
imagine one of these tentacles getting stuck in some reef.
Or any animal, plant, anything down there. Yeah.
She swims in.
You might as well be wearing anchors for hair.
It's interesting. It is interesting how that worked. But, CGI is an amazing thing. Anyway.
Specifically mirroring the trans journey. The Little Mermaid
No.
also
No. I can literally tell you, you're wrong. It's you stupid woman who pretends to speak for other people's problems that you have no bloody clue about. Fucking Canadian healthcare yourself.
Because the woman wants, or because Ariel wants to be a human, therefore it's a very good trans allegory. I think that's stretching.
Because it's a transformation.
Okay. So the first thing this idiot is leaving out is that Ariel does not want to be a human. She
wants to get laid.
She's a fan of humans. However, she wants to get laid, basically. She is madly in love with a human. So becoming a human is only a means to an end. It is not about becoming a human. If there was a chance that she could talk with him normally and not scare the shit out of him, or make him join her, becoming half a fish, that would work for her just as well. This woman, I think the people of the take all share one common brain cell. That's communism for you.
features a queer-coded villain, Ursula, who was inspired by
Not
iconic
beloved.
drag queen Divine.
Queer-coded?
Don't underestimate the importance of body language.
It was released at the height of
Disturbing.
the AIDS crisis in 1989 and included the contributions of lyricist and producer Howard Ashman, a gay man who tragically died of AIDS 2 years later. But if The Little Mermaid is a queer
Yeah, I guess you should have listened to the advice and used a condom. And have less anal sex.
story, in ways it's a depressing one, suggesting that there is a lot of pain, sacrifice, and compromise ahead for anyone who wants to come out. Here's our take on The Little Mermaid as a queer
What?
allegory.
Can
and
you
what
give some
message it
examples?
ultimately
Can you give some examples on the compromises?
How
Because
do-
I don't remember any.
How do we get back to queer? I thought we were on the trans thing. We just jumped to queer again.
She has to jump around because nothing makes sense. So she needs to confuse. And I think these words are interchangeable for these types of leftists at this point.
Well, this is a strange argument because you're saying she's suffering. She's having this hard time because she has a dream, which is pretty much any story or coming-of-age story where you have a character who's either from rags to riches or starting off really low. It's like, yeah,
She wants to get laid by a guy. That's what she's suffering from.
Same with Cinderella.
Wow.
Same with all these other characters where they're either alone or they're
Same with
starting
every
off small.
pubescent girl.
Any young adult story has kids starting off small, going on a journey and getting bigger.
Any 15-year-old at a Robbie Williams concert.
Oh, really? Okay. Hopefully it's the Frank Sinatra version of Robbie Williams. Anyway.
Uh-huh.
sense the cost of living as your real self?
Euphoria?
If you're new here,
No,
be sure
no. Okay. You're starting with this shit. When you have actual gender dysphoria, treating that with hormone therapy makes the dysphoria fall away. It does not give you euphoria. If you have euphoria, you did not have dysphoria in the first place. You're just some creepy fetishist with delusions or escapism fantasies or whatever else. This is why you people are harmful. You are harmful to actual trans people. You are harmful to anyone who's not and is made believe to be. You are the reason children get castrated.
Well, it could be that they're pumping them full of dopamine and other kinds of endorphins.
What?
Well, if you're putting hormones inside of you, I mean, there's other things to do to make you happy, give you euphoria.
Yeah, but the thing is, the left has a couple of years ago started because they don't like to talk about the actual medical thing that is gender dysphoria, how it works, where it comes from, how it's treated, how it goes away. No, they only talk about the fetishism crap because of the fetishes. There's about 1,000 to every actual dysphoric, and the actual dysphorics don't want to be seen, so you can't portray them. They try to pass, so you don't notice them. They don't want to make a fuss. They don't want spotlights. While the fetishists, they do want spotlights. That's why they all dress like their wardrobes had not just malfunctions, but I don't know, turned inside out. And And because that's something you can display. The actual trans people, the actual dysphorics, you can't display as side characters anywhere because you couldn't see them if you did it right. Just like normal gay people, you couldn't see them if you did it right. You can only see the weirdos. And the thing here is that part of the fetishists is that they get euphoric / get bonus when they finally get their hormones, when they get their new bra, when they get to dress up and all of this shit. And when they get called by their pronoun, by their chosen pronouns. There's tons of Reddit threads where these types of people say, "Oh, is it normal that when people call me by my preferred pronouns that I get sexually aroused?" No, that's not normal. That means you're a fetishist. You're not trans, you're a fetishist. And technically, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't harass anyone about it. Just keep it to yourself.
All right, there were a bunch of super chats from the Dark Seraph. I think you guys can only see one, but essentially he's just saying, is she brain damaged? Is she retarded? And by the power of white girls, she is offended on their behalf. Welcome
and
to
the people
take.
She's on whose behalf she pretends to be offended by reject what she's saying, which is seems to be a standard thing of dumb parent type people, especially when they want to be the parents of everyone else. You know, like those kindergarten teachers who they're not teachers, but anyway, English word. That when you're happy playing alone with the toys and the other kids are all outside doing their group play bullshit, and this kindergarten teacher insists, you need to go outside, you'll have more fun when you play with the other kids. And no, I'm an introvert, leave me alone with these pesky demons. I wanna play with the I don't know, wooden blocks myself.
Okay, we're at 2 minutes. Let's keep going.
Subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all of our new videos. Thank you to Brilliant for sponsoring this video.
No.
Take mind so you can. The element of Ariel's journey that aligns with the queer experience is her feeling stifled by the world she's born.
How would you people even know? Are you gay?
This is
Are these women gay?
Do people who haven't come out of the closet feel stifled? I'm assuming that's the case. We just feel...
Not after they came out.
I know.
You're stifled while you're in the closet.
I mean, this is basically any teenager going through puberty. They're like, okay, what you feel, you don't know, you're confused. So I guess those feelings are pretty normal.
Born into, and desperately longing to find another world where she can express her true self.
No. That's just escapism. That's just being enamored with the foreign. It's like anyone who wants to travel the world because he finds it boring at home because he knows everything at home already. So let's venture to India, Tibet, New Zealand. I don't know. Anything that's not home. That is what Ariel is. She wants to see that other world because it's interesting. That's all.
This is explicitly voiced in the song Part of Your World.
Wish I could be part of that world.
The Little Mermaid is often criticized as a story about a woman literally giving up her voice and thus her agency for a man. But as we see here, Ariel already had an all-consuming desire to be human before she met Eric.
I want to be where the people are.
Part of your world.
No, okay. If we want to really, since you want to elevate this, I'm gonna rip it down. Ariel is fetishizing the human because she's already fetishizing the human world. That's just the next step. Like, imagine, so she's a furry, but for humans.
Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it, but I'll go with that idea that is a different species. She's a magical creature, and she looks very like them, but her lower body is not. So, and she has to use the only technique she's got, which is a magical witch, to give a give and take. So that's
Tyler Preston says it very simply. She's a restless teenager.
That's fair.
And that fits. This is just a magical version, as I said before. It's just a magical version of any such story where commoner loves royalty or royalty loves commoner. Person from one country loves another. The countries are at war. Like you have some divide between the two groups, and that's it. That's all.
That Ariel's arc isn't going to be just about identity. In fact, while originally the directors felt the number should be a love song from Ariel toward Prince Eric, Ashman transformed it into an I Want song, where we learn more about Ariel's interiority and what's really driving her. Part of Your World is a song about being...
Sorry, what? Interiority? Is that a word?
Interior driving her.
Interiority. It is a word. The inner character or nature. Subjectivity. Oh. Anyway.
She's a weeb for humans.
Okay, that's easy to understand.
Life you want to live, but not being able to embody it. One could read the hidden...
If we had met aliens at this point, and they would look like, I don't know, whatever, like the Na'vi in Avatar, there would be humans who would obsess about it and try to transform themselves into hybrids to eventually become like the aliens they fetishize. This is the fucking same thing. There's nothing special about that. It's nothing to do with queerness, although queerness means everything now. Queerness, I think, just means, look at me, I'm special, and I'm going out of my way to not look normal at all. I just want to be not normal. Yeah, I don't want to be like the others, which is a totally juvenile thing.
It seems more like the trans allegory is more accurate if you're talking about transformation as opposed to coming out of the closet.
Yeah, but that's just a means here. If this was about the true medical condition that the real trans people have, the gender dysphoria, the story would not just have the transformation as a means to gain something else. It would be her goal would be the transformation itself, but for her the transformation is just a means to another end, which is to get laid with the prince.
In cavern, stashed away human trinkets as analogous to a closet, a space in which she's allowed to be herself and explore the parts of herself that her society rejects.
It's called your
ultimately
kids' room.
A place she needs to outgrow in order to actualize herself in a more...
That's getting out of your kids' room. It's growing up. Now I get it. All the queer people, in quotation marks, they're just not grown up. They're still in their kids' rooms with their fantasies.
That would be nice, but to say it's a closet when Ariel just has a room with stuff in it that happens to be hers is like, yeah, she's a princess. She has her own room in the kingdom. That's pretty much what you expect.
That's what I mean. It's a kid's room.
Public expresses a desire for belonging in a society where she's not told how to act and who she can and cannot love.
That's called society.
They understand.
A society that she believes can offer her deeper answers about her existence, as it seems...
Oh, look, she's pandered to in the other kingdom instead of her home kingdom. She's still pampered.
To operate with different knowledge and values. This part of the song underlines that, for many people, longing to live one's gender identity and sexuality openly isn't just about finding a romantic partner, but also about the desire for a larger community that sees and accepts them.
What the fuck did you just say?
Is this because
you are talking about... No, she's talking about narcissism. She thinks, because that's how all these bloody rainbow people behave, they just want everyone to love them, demand that everybody loves them, not just accept them, because acceptance that's neutral.
Yeah, I think.
But when people accept you, that means they don't give a shit. But these people want everyone to give a shit about them, and for real dysphorics, that's not the case.
Yeah,
she's talking about narcissistic wants, not normal people wants.
Well, it's normal whether the king is a mermaid or not. Obviously, there's all kinds of stories of fathers being overprotective. So
yeah, in this case, it's justified because his daughter is running away into a magical land that is unreachable for him.
And the element of being a king and having responsibilities and expectations, and there's other things happening which isn't really talked about too much in a Disney film, and that's fine. You don't have to make it about that, but it's just like he's the king. If I say it's permissible, then the society says okay, and I don't think any of the humans really care. They just see a pretty girl. They go, oh yeah, pretty girl, she's nice, great. So maybe there's some specific scenes in Little Mermaid from the Disney version.
If the human world at large was the thing that was most interesting to Ariel, she would have gone to the surface for that, and then lived through the life of a commoner, which would be pretty shit. But that's not what drove her. What drove her was, there's a guy who's giving me the hots. Different thing. The take is trying to spin that into its opposite.
Well, it's also royalty. So she's going from royalty to royalty. She just, it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I know what I've been skimming around without noticing, because nobody talks about this anymore because the left hates it. So it's like what I touched upon a little bit is real trans people try to pass. When they pass, nobody notices them as trans anymore. Real trans people don't want to be noticed as trans. They want to be noticed as normal. That you don't get that by demanding that people see a bearded man in a miniskirt as normal. That's not how that works. That guy is also not trans. That's a fetishist. What she talks about is that society, community accepts non-passing fetishists as normal by, in practice, cheering them on. And that is so much the opposite of what real trans people are about. It's just can you start a defamation case due to what these people are doing? Like some class action thing or something?
All right, here is the Copper Alley. How's it going? Time to go full Nero and rage war with the sea. Unless they could have a political marriage, which just so happens to work out. So, anyway.
We see just how suffocating Ariel's undersea life can be, with her regularly getting harsh lectures from her father due to her fascination with humans.
Ariel, how many times must we go through this?
Any affinity Ariel shows for humanity makes King Triton angry or disgusted, and he speaks about humans with hateful, discriminatory language.
They're all the same. Spineless, savage, harpooning fish eaters, incapable of any feeling.
Having family members who don't understand or support one's identity or orientation is a hardship that...
If he's describing them as people who come around and kill the fish, whom he protects, I think he's got a point. That's kind of his job, is to take care of the ocean. So
his racism against humans is completely justified.
Yeah,
and wouldn't the modern left also agree with that? That humans are just a pest that destroy the oceans. Triton is completely justified. Why would he allow his daughter to mate with a pesky human?
I mean, that is an interesting approach if you're going to go that route and say we got to control the enemy. How do we do that? Well, we make a political marriage, and we make some ground rules saying you won't hurt us and we won't hurt you because of these rules. And that involves do not eat our fish or kill our fish. That could be a thing. That could be a very aspect of the story. But the story's not about that. The story's not about, forging a relationship between two kingdoms. It's about this one girl and her feelings. So,
oh God,
we don't need to go that far.
The show she's gonna show here, Euphoria from HBO, that is still ongoing. This is HBO's attempt of showing the childhood of allegedly a trans kid, so a child with gender dysphoria, allegedly with the consultants of someone who went through that, and I think later on the cast as well. And the truth about this is, You ask anyone who has real knowledge of this condition. This person that they got for consultants, as well as how they depict the whole thing in the show, is not how a dysphoric child acts, because this kid is going into at that age and earlier even is going into self-harm to the point of slitting arms open, and that is gender dysphoria does not do that. It does not do that. It does not make you hate yourself. When you hate yourself, that's another issue. Those are other issues. That can be borderline or something. But it's not gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria gives you low self-esteem, but it does not make you hate yourself. That is a very important thing that nobody talks about. So, this story is about crazy kid with issues, maybe abuse, because that's where this shit can come from. And later on, basically just proving through the writing of the show that this is just a fetishist. Because, well, that's whom they consulted for it. And that person believes to be trans. Of course, because all these fetishists now genuinely believe to be trans, because the narrative has been for years now that is the actual thing when it isn't. Because that's what the left is trying to normalize. I'm sorry, I'm going off and off.
Here is the Giga Chan. Thank you for the tip. Imagine a guy whose job is protect all drillers in Alaska from wolves, has a daughter, and he finds out she's having a relationship with a wolf. That shit is gross from Triton's perspective and from mine too. It is a different species. They are very similar, but obviously it's a whole other. It's a whole other world that is mostly unknown and hidden from each other. And they have the only advantage, which is that they know the humans exist and to stay away from them. So there is a way to do this when we're talking about diplomatic relations, but again, the story is not about politics. So anyway, let's keep going.
Many community know all too well, and this was far more often the case back in the 80s when the Disney film was released. When interpreted as a queer story
what was that about for Dynasty? What was the point?
I have no idea. Yeah. I don't know that show. What is that about?
I was a kid. I never watched it. So. Yeah, I don't remember. It was definitely a soap opera, though.
This striking that The Little Mermaid portrays the coming out process as an intensely difficult one. Ariel losing her voice touches on the melancholic idea that it requires giving up something fundamental of who you were.
That is not a melancholic idea. That is just a transaction.
It's just, yeah, and it's not something of who you were. It's just, it's one of your basic abilities as a, well, human being, humanoid.
It's like, I used to dance when I was a kid. Now I don't. Alas, I gave it up or whatever. I got an injury. Like, that's fine. That's normal.
That's not identity.
While the sacrifice of her voice is temporary, ultimately Ariel has to permanently give up her family to be a human and marry Eric. And apparently...
Yeah, because her actual family are fish. Like, the only way to be together with them is if they all become humans. Or if the prince gives up his family and becomes a fish. Like, there's a physical barrier here. Can you understand that? That's not the same thing as... Are you talking about trans shit now? Are you talking about gay shit? What are you even talking about? Your whole allegory part. Because this story doesn't work the way you want it to. Also, I think there's an animation error here. Anyway.
You won't be able to really visit them.
If I become human, I'll never be with my father or sisters again.
In the original Anderson story, the pain and misery are even more pronounced.
You can rather say that this is the standard story of royalty back in the day, because when the daughter, or in general, even when you look at the Gentile families in ancient Rome, when the daughter is married, that's where the carrying the wife comes from. The husband comes into the family house, picks up his wife that he's not married to, and carries her out and through town into the house of his family, and now she lives there. She's now part of the new family that she married into. So she leaves her old family behind, technically.
I think this is a huge theme in manga these days of nobility marrying into the commoner world or loving a commoner, and that's always looked down upon because of social status within a hierarchy, whether it's feudalism or some other aspect of modern day, like the rich person of a big conglomerate. That's pretty common. So there's nothing really to.
It doesn't even need to be rich. It just needs to be the guy you marry has an overseas job, or he works at the other end of the country. So you, of course, move to him because he's making the big money. Well, you are not. Instead of forcing him to live with you and your parents.
Yeah, the basics.
So that he has to relinquish his. It's rather that especially in modern times, you found your own family in your own household.
Yeah, you will leave your family regardless. Both parties will do that. So it's like, okay, whether it's underwater or not makes little difference.
The mermaid loses her voice via the sea. While she can walk on land, every step feels like treading upon the pointed needles or sharp knives. In 2015 Polish horror musical The Lure,
was that even in the Disney movie?
Emphasizes how uncomfortable losing her fins is for the mermaid. The Lure also preserves the story's original ending, in which the mermaid doesn't end up with the prince because he marries someone else, and the mermaid turns into sea foam. The story's sadness and longing reflects Anderson's own relationship with his queer identity and the story's intended recipient, his official guardian.
It's not your sexual orientation is not an identity, stupid woman.
Here is the.
Just because you don't have a personality doesn't mean that everything that you own makes you have an identity.
Here's the,
like you're having a stupid ringtone isn't an identity.
Here's the Giga Chad. Thank you for the one. Despite making up only 13% of the ocean's population, mermaids are responsible for 50% of sailor drownings. The 14th Amendment does not apply to aquatic Americans and is rather die than see a mermigger. Go to school with my children. Oh my God.
So are mermaids mutants or abhumans?
We'll go with magical beings or spiritual beings.
We would need Lale to answer this question.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if it cheers anyone up, she becomes a sky maid at the end.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She dies.
I mean, yeah, not entirely sad.
She achieves a higher plane of existence through the power of love and...
It's just love. It was just love and this nice little egg here. Oh.
Okay.
So that ending where despite mermaids not having souls, but Ariel still transcending due to her good deeds, is basically that's Hans Christian Andersen's attempt at conveying or at processing that even though I cannot be with my loved one and not have a family with my loved one because you can't have children, you can still do good in the world, which is not what I've been seeing from the Rainbow Movement. They don't seem to be caring about doing good in the world, rather the opposite. They're entirely selfish. They will not ascend. If they turn to sea foam, nobody will care, except maybe the fish getting diseases or something.
Pretty sure they won't become sky maids. They just become seagulls. Nobody likes
seagulls. Oh God! Do horrible people turn into seagulls? That would explain so much.
Every time you have a picnic on the beach, just remember that was once one of these people, probably.
Oh no.
Seagulls.
Oh no. Bad people get reincarnated as
Edvard
seagulls.
Collins.
He loves me. He loves me not.
Anderson wrote several letters and poems to Edvard confessing his love, but was rebuffed, and Edvard eventually married, which Anderson took almost as a betrayal. Gabrielle Below writes of Anderson's desperation, perhaps at least partly born out of the immense pressure and pain of his day to repress his queerness. Today, more and more people are seeking to move beyond the convention that queer...
He wasn't queer. He was gay. Although back in the day that meant the same thing until you weirdos came along and made that it's extra thing that has no meaning. Isn't that wonderful?
Queer stories openly emphasize the miserable aspects of the queer experience like discrimination and intolerance. Of course, Ariel's story isn't even explicitly about being queer, and it wouldn't be fair to criticize it on this basis, but we can see an interesting difference when we compare it to 2021's Luca, the story of a sea monster who's similarly drawn to human life, has to learn how to walk, and in whose story many viewers have also seen analogies to the queer.
Yeah, pedophiles have done that. Pedophiles.
Yeah, we covered.
If you think Luca is gay, you are a pedophile. And you women are obsessed with making everything gay, including prepubescent children. These are prepubescent children. They probably don't even have a sex drive yet. And you make it about them being gay. How can they be gay if they don't even have a sex drive? You are pedophiles.
Okay.
Mom, we're always careful.
We?
Luca doesn't have to make the painful sacrifices Ariel does, and while his family at first forbid him from going to the surface, it's mainly because they fear for his safety, and their fears aren't totally unfounded. After they follow him to the land and understand that he's going to be okay, they support his future, and it seems like they'll still be a presence in his life.
Some people, they'll never accept him, but some will.
That's not about being gay. You could play a similar story with cowboys and Native Americans of a different culture.
Yeah.
Don't go to the other culture. They'll just kill you.
I guess the analogy is of people coming to Canada or North America in general for a new life, and they're not sure what to do. My dad has all kinds of stories when he was a kid, and his brothers coming to Canada and being Italian. And that's Luca. Is it a riverside or a oceanside village that's Italian or Spanish? It has that sort of theme with it, and the Vespa they're trying to ride, and all the other things they're trying to do.
Yeah,
it's an inverted version of that, where you are going into Italy or going into a different culture and trying to acclimate and go on an adventure as a kid. It's a fun movie. It's a great movie. So
yeah, and it's totally innocent. You must be insane to see anything beyond innocence in that movie.
To start, this is kind of like some people think they're Freud, which is weird because we know Freud got a lot of things wrong on.
He was also obsessed and projecting a lot.
He was doing a lot of weird things that people were like, this doesn't make any sense.
Like his whole mother complex thing, that was his own mother complex he was projecting.
It's very possible. He got a lot of interesting ideas that were cleaned up by other students, but his focus on sex was a bit too much. And I see that with a lot of these people are trying to attribute sex, sexuality, sexual identity.
Yeah, but I don't think they do that because they want to emulate Freud.
No, but it's like this.
I think they do it for justifying themselves.
It's like they've jumped away from psychology because psych would look at this and say you're completely wrong. There's no evidence of this. You're speculating, as opposed to using like a theory.
Psych says and said for 30 years that they're completely wrong about the trans thing. Well, and they still are, but they have captured the WHO to the point that they're rewriting the ICD to pander to the political bullshit that they made up instead of the scientific truth, the scientific reality.
It's a weird combination of media criticism and social studies. It just doesn't quite jive when you're talking about a potential gay story for a story of kids going on adventures. It doesn't make sense so much.
I mean, if you twist your brain enough, you can project anything into anything. And that's what they seem to be doing.
At least with
they have their one thing that they want to see everywhere, and so they find it everywhere.
Well, at least with Little Mermaid, it's a story about romance, and it's cute, and it's about her trying to charm this prince, and the prince like, do I like her? Do I not like her? Like it's classic. It doesn't have to be under the ocean, but that gives it its magical quality, this adventure, perfect for a Disney film. And I think it's one of the best. I remember coming back from a tournament at school. I think I was 9 or 10. And we were watching Little Mermaid in the gym, and I was like, why are we? like, was it movie day? Like, I didn't know there was a thing called movie day at my school. And we were watching it. I was like, that's crazy. I know I would have stayed home. I would have stayed at school and watched movies. That'd be great. So it's a great film. And to interpret it as an allegory for anything outside of children is not a healthy approach to criticism.
Especially when you do that with distorted versions from the original authors, as Disney does.
Well, I would like to,
especially with the new one.
I would like to hope in another 5-10 years, when we're over this trans nonsense of, we got to have rights for all these people. It's like, okay, well, let's get that figured out. Okay, figure it all out in the courts, in the law books, whatever it is. Get out your system. And let's.
No, not into the law books.
No. Whatever the thing is, because
we need to go back. We need to get back to the actual hard and ugly science.
Whatever,
and that's where we need to derive the truth from.
Whatever these people want, let's get a pyre. Let's get a sacrifice going. Let's get a city, make these laws, see what happens, and then we learn from it. We can throw.
I wish it was that easy. Oh. I still want some rich Saudi prince to build one of these giant islands.
Oh yeah.
And build a giant wall around it, and then we say, if you are a communist, if you want to support communism, you have to go there, and as this, you can only go in, you cannot come out again, and then you build your happy commune and everything. Well, you do it there, like in a biome, and you leave the rest of us alone with your shit. And when it works, you can send us a message.
I would prefer humanity gives a solid example of this stuff breaking down, so that we don't have to keep harping on about it, so that universities can just get on with their actual focus, which is to produce PhDs and engineers and not activists. I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, but it's because you can't get that as long as you don't take the universities back from the activists that have captured them. It's as if the universities had been captured by fundamentalist Christianity, like some mega church. Imagine all the universities having been captured by an American mega church.
Well, there's a great solution right there. If you make all these activists a religion, you'd be like, okay, great. You have all the rights and tax exemptions of a religion. Go for it.
It has all the hallmarks of a religion, and they thought about that in the early stages, like in the 19th century, but they decided against officially calling themselves a religion and went with the opposite, saying, well, we're totally not a religion, because they realized they would be able to gain more power by not calling themselves a religion. Because then, if they were a religion, there would be the distinction between state and church.
Right.
And that is then you couldn't push the ideology by claiming it's not a religion. They can claim, it's secular, it's totally fine. You need to consider this.
That's what I think America should do that. Obviously, Florida just gets rid of it. But if a state would say, yeah, you want to be a trans whatever, go ahead, join this group, and we'll treat you as such. And that's, you could say whatever you want. You can convert people however you want. You can groom them however you want. We don't care.
I know Florida. I think Florida still says, if you're of age, do what the want, but stay away from the kids.
I would just like to see an organization that is saying, this is what we are. This is what we're for, and let's get rid of all this other junk, so we can get on with proper media, with proper.
Yeah. There's two problems to that. Number one, you won't find helpers like these take people that are sane, that would do this for the correct thing. At least not very much, because that would be rare. That would require, for example, women who question things. The second thing is you won't find a lot of dysphorics doing that, because either they are completely drained from their condition while they still suffer from it, or it would require them to speak out after having managed to get to a level of passing, which would defeat the whole purpose of passing. And on top of that, you would have very, very small numbers in the first place. So you would have the willing, real patients of gender dysphoria would be so few that you couldn't build something from that if you wanted to. Like I wanted to 5 years ago, and the shit happened. Maybe I could have pulled off something in Germany, but I think the climate is getting ever more heated. So yeah.
Anyway,
if anyone wants to help, you know where you find me.
Now we're what?
General parallels to queerness, Ariel's story can be read as a powerful analogy specifically for the trans experience. Like someone with gender dysphoria, Ariel's true identity doesn't match up with how others see.
She has no gender dysphoria.
Match up with how others see her.
What? No, it's not about how others see you, you fucking idiot. Let's read that.
Analogy specifically for the trans experience.
A concept designated in DSM-5, that's already shit, as clinically significant distress or impairment related to a strong desire to be of another gender. So first, gender dysphoria is already a bullshit term, but it's the one that is currently most established. It's the actual thing has nothing to, because they define gender as this thing in your head that you make up. Which generally, if you really look at it, you will only find personality. And personality is more deeply rooted. The thing is, real gender dysphoria is a purely biological thing in which your problem is that your brain thinks it is interacting with the body of the opposite sex, like it has the wrong blueprint. That causes constant error messages in your brain. We can measure that. We have the brain scans for that. You can do a brain scan and determine this is a dysphoric brain. This is not a dysphoric brain with nigh 100% accuracy. The left doesn't want that a brain scan, which is at this point, I think we could have that for 5 years now. But the left is against that because they say, oh, that would erase trans identity, which means choosing to be trans, claiming to be trans without proof, which is what they want, which is how they create all their deranged soldiers. So real gender dysphoria is biologically rooted. It can be objectively measured, and it has nothing to. It's not a desire to be of the other sex. It's rather that your brain is when you have actual gender dysphoria, your body as it is works, it functions, biologically correct, but your brain is constantly firing. Where are the boobs? Why is there this thing dangling between the legs? These hips are not wide enough. Why the hell? I would never fit through that gap. Well, you do, because your body is does not have the same shape. Imagine it like a kid before a growth spurt can run beneath the tables in the kitchen. Then the kid grows a bit, still runs through the kitchen, and then bumps into the table side because the brain hadn't updated yet what the actual height is. Well, now you got that update. Imagine that with gender dysphoria, that update doesn't happen. So your brain constantly thinks you're just wrong in the space, as if you play a video game and you get the wrong hitboxes loaded. Character looks correct, but works with the wrong model, works with the wrong hitboxes. That's kind of more how it works. It has nothing to do with how other people see you. Not at all. It has nothing to do with wanting to dress weirdly. Absolutely nothing. Those are things you do to pass. Or hope to. Or have your when you just want to shut the shit thing up, then you get your escapist moment, maybe give in. But there are a lot of people with actual gender dysphoria, of the few that even exist, that don't want to be dysphoric. They'd be fine with any solution to this, including not changing the body, just getting rid of the fucking dysphoria to have a normal life. Because that's what most people want. They want a normal life, a normal family. That's my rant, sorry. These people are so wrong, and these people who write this bullshit. These bullshit definitions.
Didn't the DSM-5 come out in 2013? I don't know why they're posting it from November 2020, but okay, fair enough.
Because the DSM-5 gets constant updates.
All right, whatever. That's fine.
It's constantly expanded, but that doesn't. So it's not the official basic version. It's like DSM-5 with DLC 326.
Okay. They couldn't do that in the 90s. Now they can do it, so that's good.
The ICD-11 took 30 years to be made.
Wow.
Like the ICD-10 was set in the 90s somewhere. And honestly, with with all the physiological things, the ICD-11 is really useful. But in the psychological chapter, in chapter F, they messed up. They put a lot of the weird pseudoscience bullshit in, and they messed up the gender dysphoria stuff as well. Thanks to pressure from completely insane activists.
Anyway. We are at 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Another 10 minutes to go.
Like someone with gender dysphoria, Ariel's true identity doesn't match up with how others see her. Her world says she's a mermaid, but Ariel knows
it's not about others see her. I just have to put emphasis on it. It's not gender dysphoria. It's not about how others see you. That's your narcissistic bullshit. That's your obsession of how you want to be seen. That has nothing to do with gender dysphoria. That's you just being an attention-whoring, fetishistic lunatic. Go Canadian healthcare yourself.
that she collects human artifacts and is fascinated by human culture the same way a transgender child would often prefer the clothes.
There are no transgender children. We don't diagnose them as such. You would be insane to do that because you can't. First off, you don't want to do brain scans in the first place because I would say 98% of your patients would already just fall out of the system. You couldn't make money on them. Secondly, even if they were, you would not treat them. You would not intervene until they're done with puberty, because as we know since the late 90s, early 2000s, in 80% of children that have actual gender dysphoria symptoms, like the actual condition, 80% of them lose that by finishing puberty without intervention. So the actual cure for gender dysphoria is to finish your puberty without blockers, without cross-dressing, without any of this bullshit. 4 out of 5 children. 8 out of 10. 80 out of 100 children. And that was before this condition was made into some fashion nonsense that everybody has. Like in the 2000s, they did that with autism. Everybody has autism. Now everybody has ADHD. Now everybody is trans. I hate it.
Activities of their experienced gender, as opposed to
wasn't Jess Jennings the one who got blockers in her teens and then couldn't do the genital operation because the dick didn't develop?
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's something they don't tell the kids. Can't have the genital operation if you want to do that. Because if you do hormone therapy, whether it's with blockers or the other the normal HRT, which would also include hormone testosterone blockers, which you need testosterone for brain development, for fuck's sake. And but if you don't have that, or if you take the hormones, then your genitals won't develop, which are relevant in what you can even build out of them. And they don't tell that to the kids, and then they get of age, think, oh, I want to do the operation, and the doctor says, well, nothing to work with there. Sorry.
All right.
You fucked up.
Here's Legacy. Thanks for the $4.99. It's about seeing yourself. Hey, what if I told her that the main characters aren't human and could get into odd with humans? It's alien to them. I don't think any of the conflicts in Little Mermaid are about, oh no, it's a mermaid. Oh no, it's a human. Like, they're not. It happens very quickly, and that's when the rest of the plot kicks in anyway, so it's not a big deal.
And it was about how others see you. It's not even about the self. It's just external validation. Who needs external validation? Narcissists. Gender dysphoria doesn't need external validation. That's bullshit. And here she said the next dumb thing. What was it? Gender assigned at birth? It's sex assessed at birth. It's by you look at the kid like a physiotherapist would look at you and say, your left shoulder is down, and your right foot is turned to the outside. We need to correct that. He's not assigning posture damage to you. He's assessing your posture damage so that it can be corrected in that case. Your biological sex, when you're born, is not assigned, just like the physiotherapist does not assign a dislocated shoulder to you. That would be nonsensical.
It's just my collection.
Ariel imagines herself with a human body and expresses a desire for legs.
Legs are required for jumping, dancing.
Feeling alienated from your body is the...
She's not alienated from her body. She's obsessing about human parts to do human things with them. You're literally mistaking... You're describing a fetish and claim that is gender dysphoria. I hate you. I seriously hate you, the take. You are what's wrong with activism. You are what's wrong with women. You are what's wrong with this whole rainbow shit. You are what's wrong with the left. You bring nothing but damage about the world. Oh, wait, you love calling other people, spreading misinformation and disinformation. That's what you do. You're fake news, which is the same thing as these other words.
So let's just call it bad criticism. I think that's the easiest one to say.
She's not criticizing anything.
Well, the interpretation...
She's just making up shit. She's projecting ideological bullshit.
It is definitely more of a projection than a lens when you say that she's not in the right body. It's like she wants to do things with the human world, not just get legs.
Yeah. Ariel has no concept of what it feels like to have legs. If she had, let's play this through. If Ariel truly did have human dysphoria, like gender dysphoria, but she wants to be human, then her brain would make her feel as if she had legs while she has her fishtail. And her fishtail would feel wrong, and she would have a full body phantom limb of legs. And that would, can you imagine, that would be quite irritating? If you swim through the sea with your fishtail, but you feel like there's these phantom legs, and your fishtail feels like it's weird, it shouldn't be there. Would that feel weird? Maybe distressing? And it's 24/7 there. It's there when you get up. It's when you go to sleep. It's when you eat. It's when you go to the shitter. It's when you go to the shower. It's when you go to school, to work. It's always there.
Well, this is the chapter...
Maybe you can push it into the back of your mind, but it will always come crawling forward.
This is the chapter on queer allegory, not trans allegory. But anyway, they like to...
Yeah, but she's talking about the human. She wants human leg. Yeah, but not because this is not a dysphoria allegory. This is a fetishism allegory. If you want to play this game, this interpretation game and projection game, the correct one would be fetishism, right, which is also not something I would want to project onto a kids' movie.
Here is Conceived on a Short Bus. Thanks for the tip. I have to wonder if maybe gender transition is a good idea in the long term. The last time a surgery was used to treat mental illness with lobotomies, which the science of at the time said was safe, and there was lots of money in. Well, they still have electroshock therapy, believe it or not. So there are therapies out there that people are researching.
For very, very limited conditions.
Yeah, they're not in general. Like you can't just, I want electroshock therapy. No, they're not going to let you. But there are people researching that, and they are therapists, and it's very specific. It's not as crude as it used to be. So some of these things do work, but lobotomy is, you do not want to play around with that.
Yeah. Yeah, but I agree with a lot of people, and I think I've even made this comparison myself before I ever was on any live stream. That this current age will be looked back upon as the age of lobotomy, and there are hospitals, clinics that specifically start these children transition campaigns and take more money for the procedures there than they would be used for actual things like mastectomies. And it's a money-making scheme. And there have been internal presentations, talks, uncovered, what's the word? That they do this to make money because there's tons of money in this, in transitioning children, which means in castrating children, because that's what this is. Always consider, if you do not intervene, that in 80% of children, this condition will cease naturally. And that was before it was fashionable. Now that it is fashionable, it will probably be 99%.
Hallmark of gender dysphoria. And like many transgendered individuals, Ariel is driven to physically transform her body so that she can become outside how she feels inside.
No, that's not what she's doing. She wants to get here, next to him. That's what she wants. That's why she wants to transform.
Yeah, there's a whole song about her wanting to walk and talk amongst the humans and dance and sing and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah, it's fetishism. It's not. Look, if a man would say, "I want to walk and talk among the women," hey, that's not gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is about inner peace. Oh well, overcoming the gender dysphoria is about gaining inner peace, not about euphoria, not about chatting with the women. Have you ever chatted with women?
I try not to. Anyway.
Exactly.
And be acknowledged by others as the human she really is.
The only way to get what you want is to become a human.
No, she really is a mermaid. We can look at her genetics. She's probably dropping fish eggs naturally, but let's not go further into that.
Oh boy.
Ariel's transitioning process isn't easy or immediate. Trading her voice to Ursula in exchange for a human body can be viewed as a metaphor for the challenges someone might face when they transition. Ariel faces intolerance.
Yeah. So first it's a queer allegory, then it's a trans
I'm telling you, she's going back and forth. She's going back and forth.
Well, no, now it's a metaphor, which is a little bit different than an allegory. But I mean, at this point, they're just using words. And we're like,
okay, I'm gonna be racist and sexist. These are two stupid white women. Of course, they don't know words. And I've in one of the when I have the camera on the little bookshelf behind them, they have a lot of basic books about psychopathy, because women tend to be obsessed with serial killers and stuff, like the books by Ron Johnson and such. And these are the most standard dumb women that you can imagine, who they don't know what words mean. That's why they use them wrong, which is, by the way, the trait of narcissism.
Yeah, if these things were the words they're using, a metaphor is just a very specific, pointed sentence. It's not a whole allegory. An allegory is this whole ethic or moral, like the allegory of the cave and the philosophical concept, which is usually long, and is its own. Usually it's a generic thing that you could take in and put in anywhere else if it fits, of course, to explain that moral or ethic. So
a metaphor is to put it in the German back translation would be a speechable picture.
Yeah.
So you make you form an image through words that convey the it's not a metaphor is not literal.
Yeah,
it conveys the feeling or meaning through the picture that you draw in someone's mind, like saying, like a cat on a hot metal roof.
Right.
You immediately have an image in your head, and you know what feeling that describes without having a word for the feeling.
Right. And there's all different versions of that, like a simile, or the way you explain things with the term "like," where a thing is like a thing and another thing, and it's very simple. So I don't think this is very simple, especially for a kid's show to be, or a kid's movie to be about what she's describing. That does not come across at all. And I don't like this analogy, this sort of whimsical idea in a literal sentence, like, oh, this is a trans metaphor for what it means to be desiring. It's like, okay, so her singing and her prancing about wanting to try food and dance with the prince is not this. It's not all these other things. It's just that. She just wants to go there. It's not pain. It's not suffering. It's not a weird inner monologue. It's just like, I really want to do this thing. And there's not too many layers to Ariel there. She's not that complicated. That's kind of why it's easy to get into the story and who these actors are. So I don't like this interpretation that adds layers where layers do not exist, especially when you're talking about sexuality and sexual identity, where I don't think that it fits at all.
Yeah. Little question from Libra Wolf in the chat. So this will correct itself in the future. Yes. And since that is the overwhelming majority of cases, the obvious solution, if you go by the Hippocratic Oath, is to do nothing. The only people relevant to treat are those that have the gender dysphoria persistent after puberty, like so post-puberty persistent, or whatever you would call that. And that is such a minuscule number. It's such a tiny number of people that you could not politically exploit that. Also because it's invisible people. And it's similar to the rainbow people, the leftists, trying to incorporate intersex into their letter soup, because intersex has absolutely no place there. Because that is a bunch of medical conditions, many of which have absolutely no relevance to this rainbow stuff at all. It's just impairments of sexual reproduction mainly. Some conditions that are under that umbrella term are a bit more odd, but they still have nothing to do with the rainbow stuff. And they also lead to misdiagnoses very often. It's mainly just health conditions.
Yeah.
And that's why you never see intersex people at these actual rallies, because they stay home, because why the fuck would you go there?
Yeah, those are three different categories of conditions. So let's not blend them together. I know people try to say it's all just sexual identity. It's like, no, people don't think that way.
Yeah, I don't think my health conditions, my medical conditions, are identities, especially not sexual identities,
or psychological in nature. Like that's kind of
I think my damaged thyroid is not an identity.
Yeah.
Or what else? What else could you have? If you have kidney stones, there's no kidney stone identity.
Oh God!
Like imagine that.
I like calcium deposits in my kidneys. Oh, God.
I identify as having kidney stones. You must give me kidney stones.
More vitamin D,
give me an
please.
operation.
Okay.
Yeah, but really, the way that the trans fetishists, as I call them, operate is like people who would falsely claim to have cancer and demand chemotherapy, because that's essentially what they're doing. They're cut in line with people who actually need treatment, and in order to poison themselves, because transition shortens your lifespan massively. It increases various cancer risks. Osteoporosis is a giant factor. All of these wonderful things. And why would you want those? And this is also the part about informed consent. They don't give that. There is barely a doctor who tells the patient, oh, you might suffer from this, you might suffer from this. Oh, by the way, 8 times higher breast cancer risk than women have, which is really a fun number. They don't tell that, especially at places like Planned Parenthood. We have enough cases who spoke out about that, who were falsely led into that, and they told, nope, I just gave a signature on something, and then they gave me the hormones over the counter. Bam. Two minors. That's not hell.
Let us continue. We are 9 minutes in.
Even when she rebels against being a mermaid in small ways. So her choices are basically to remain a mermaid forever.
You could go home with all the normal fish and just be miserable for the rest of your life.
Or to take...
I have not seen that thing since I was a kid. What did she cut out here? What did she cut together here?
It sounded so... I feel like something there just got skipped.
Just be miserable. Well, at least they indicated they skipped it. But imagine trying to advertise that, because the thing is, Ariel, when she transforms into a human, she's a fully functioning human woman who could probably have human children mating with another human. That doesn't work for transitioning. We don't have the technology. We can't. We don't have the $6 billion people. That's not a thing. You're just infertile.
Us of trans people seeking gender affirmation surgery.
Probably not what you want. You're not going to have a normal family.
And
that's why people who have real dysphoria feel themselves in a dilemma because, well, you want a normal life, which means family, and all that love shit. And on the other hand, you wanna get rid of this bloody pain that's driving you nuts.
All right, Whisp, so keep on with the video. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
And even without a voice, she's curious, bold, and finds ways to assert herself. Her personality shining through despite her few speaking lines in the second half of the film.
Maybe I could guess. Is it Mildred?
But Ariel's not yet able to express her deepest soul, as represented by her voice. She's hesitant to reveal to Eric the truth about herself, as if she feels safer just trying to mimic a more limited, conventional form of human attractiveness for him. She doesn't understand that her voice, the more complex spiritual expression of her soul, is what he actually...
The spiritual expression of her soul is
the
her
voice is a spiritual expression?
I don't know what that means.
What? I think she's just making up shit now again.
Well, if you're going to start using words like romantic words like soul, and you don't know anything about the history of theology or theory of the mind or philosophy of the mind, or haven't read Descartes, which is now over 400 years old, do not use the word, and especially don't use the word spiritual. That's gonna...
Is this some Gnostic stuff where the voice creates the world and therefore the voice is spirit?
It's not just the voice; it's the singing voice. It's this whole other. It's like, wow, what's happening here?
It's I'm confused. I need to consult the. Give me a minute.
Okay.
He loves.
A girl rescued me. She was singing. She had the most beautiful voice.
But once Scuttle tells her who Vanessa is...
The prince is marrying the sea witch in disguise!
Ariel snaps into action to stop the wedding, and with the help of her animal friends, she reclaims her voice. So Ariel's full self, which includes the body she always wanted and the soul she's always had, can only be manifested when she expresses her full truth, asserts her right to take...
Her full truth? What does that mean?
It's her subjective bullshit.
The full truth of what she wants, what she
subjectivism.
Thinks? This is so. Just say when she finally breaks the curse.
Okay.
Spell.
The thing. This is. I think this is the take. Women probably are not aware of this because they're dumb esoteric idiots. What she's basically said is what Gnostics believe in, is that if you believe in something hard enough, you can manifest it and thereby alter reality to what you want it to be, because you are, as being originally part of God, you are actually also God. You just need to realize it, and once you do, you have these magic powers. And that's That's what if you translate that enough times, you get with what the take is saying here and interpreting into Ariel. Okay. After she's become a complete being, she can now magically change the world. Hooray. Yeah. She's God now.
Up space and doesn't hide any aspect of who she is. In her ending of
really? She is complete open door. She's come on in, here's my brain. Okay.
I think I zoned out for a second.
She is completely honest with everyone around her and says everything off the top of her head. She hides nothing. Oh my, yeah, sure. That's how humans operate. That's how brains work.
Getting her desired human form with her beautiful voice, the story sends the message that if you keep fearlessly being yourself, the world will eventually catch up and listen. When
you will still be infertile.
Story through this lens, it's also worth emphasizing the biggest change that Disney made from the original Anderson story, Ariel's happy ending with her prince. Often trans people are spoken about as having suffered with gender dysphoria.
Elliot Page collapsed after the Inception premiere. What to know about gender dysphoria? Elliot Page does not have gender dysphoria. I read the letter, the coming out letter. It was just political garbage, just like Philosophy Tube. That was just pandering. The real, I've seen real coming out letters, and they speak just of being happy that they're rid of the pain. These people only talk about the pandering basic bullet points of the ideology. And we can see that Elliot Page certainly does not look happy. Elliot Page looks like someone who now has gender dysphoria after having transitioned, which is very odd. That does happen to some people who didn't have gender dysphoria before, because the other name, which I don't want to get nuked by YouTube here, otherwise I would have no trouble to say so, E.Page, female, did look very happy, very content woman. Happy smiles and everything, while Elliot Page looks like a fucking mess that wants to kill himself.
He looks like a puppet, not a puppet, a mockery of what a man should look like.
Yeah, that as well. It's someone who's full of regret, who knows that this was a fucking mistake, but the only way to continue in Hollywood in any way, to have any chance still in Hollywood, is to double down. Because Elliot Page certainly has seen what happens to people in Hollywood who betray the agenda, and what happens to. I've probably looked into what happens to how what's the word? Detransitioners is done. They are targeted actively by Antifa and other such groups. It's absolutely atrocious, and that's why while the Rainbow groups and Antifa deny that the transitioners even exist, they also hound them down as traitors. And I've known some stories. Some people I've talked with some people, and you wouldn't believe it. It's like war. But let's go on.
Defined as significant distress or impairment relating to a strong desire to be of another gender. However, the flip side of that coin is gender euphoria, which is the sense of euphoria.
See, this is what I talked about before. Gender euphoria is not a thing that someone with dysphoria has. Gender euphoria is just what fetishists have when they cross-dress.
I have never heard of this term. Oh, it's Urban Dictionary. That's great.
It's trans joy. The joy to be trans. Nobody who is truly trans enjoys that. You don't. You're just glad if you get a home, like the dysphoria goes away if you start a home. That happens within 1 month. The brain normalizes. We have studies on that. We have wonderful little diagrams and everything that show how the relevant brain areas normalize. They don't become completely normal, but they normalize somewhat. And at the same time, this correlates 100%. In those patients, the gender dysphoria, this distressed psychological weight falls off like scales. within the first month. The only thing we haven't tested yet, as far as I know, is that effect permanent? Like, for example, could you just take that for a month, for 5 months, and would it then remain permanent? Or do you have to keep taking the hormones forever, or the dysphoria will return and the brain go more anomalous again if you stop taking them? My guess would be that it stays normal. I personally have not tried this experiment. I would like to do it under medical supervision, but I have no medical facility around to try that with. Yeah. So, to summarize again, gender euphoria does not exist. The fetishists have made it up because they feel euphoric when they cross-dress and when they get called the pronouns they want. It's the temporary ego boost that a narcissist gets, that a narcissist is fishing for. That's what's happening there. That's what's actually happening here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Satisfaction in transitions.
Getting out of the shower and the towel's around your waist and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, there I am.
Likewise, it's important that after seeing Ariel endure her hardships as a mermaid and during her transition, the audience gets to see her bask in the joy of living as a human. Though the adjustment...
Just question. Did Mr. Page look happy there? Content? Joyous? Or was it rather dead inside?
I'm going to guess it was just answering a question, so they're trying to be as straightforward as possible.
Yeah, that sounded like that. There was no joy in that. There was no relief or anything. This sounded like an annoyed answer. This is not...
Process might be difficult. The journey is ultimately worth it.
Oh, no.
No, it's not.
While Ariel's journey is more analogous to the coming out or transitioning experience, the most obviously queer-coded character in the film is its villain, Ursula. Ursula sends some confusing mix...
She's queer-coded because she's a fat female
because she's fat.
Octopus?
Like, she rather gives off the sense... If you want to translate that to anything, Ursula, if you strip away her magic powers, she just acts like a woman with borderline personality disorder. Emotions all over the place, hyper expressive, malicious, revengeful, and doesn't have herself under control, which is why she has an eating disorder to quell her emotional pain. Badumts.
Mixed messages about queerness. She's often been celebrated and embraced as an icon in the queer community, but at the same time, of course, she's the movie's pretty evil antagonist. Her queer-coded mannerisms and behaviors implicitly associated with villainy, just as we've seen with other queer-coded...
She is the villain,
Disney.
Yes, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'd rather ask, why do gay people, not queer, gay, proper one, homosexuals. Why do homosexuals always see themselves in the villains? Like, and not in the oh, it's offensive, I'm portrayed as the villain. No, they like the villains.
I don't
they
see,
love them.
I don't see what's wrong with liking Ursula as a character, whether she's whatever her sexuality. It has nothing to do with the narrative or her plot. So
I think it's only ever because the villains in the Disney movies specifically are very expressive. They're very expressive in their emotions, in how they emote. And the same is true for Jafar. The same is true for what was there?
I was thinking of not an overtly gay man, but the villain.
Hook.
The villain in Skyfall, Raul Silva. He states a where he makes a motion of sexual advancing on Bond, and Bond's like, well, okay, whatever, which is surprising him. But that has nothing to do with his character. It's just a thing that it's like, oh, he's gay, whatever. He's still a psycho. He's still the villain, and it's what he wants to do in his elaborate plot to get to M, which is what the story is mostly about. So the fact that has that sort of nuance means next to nothing to the story. So you can have these characters being portrayed. Like we were talking about this before. We could have Ursula being voice acted by a guy. Would have been fine. We all would have bought it. It's like, yeah, it's an evil dude and dresses like a woman or sounds like a guy. We don't care. It's a magical octopus lady who makes these contracts like a Faustian bargain.
It's an evil sea monster demon.
That's all it needs to be.
I think maybe that these people see themselves reflected in the villains. One part, the emotional expression I mentioned. The second is that they project power. Even if, due to the story, they lose in the end, they are usually characters that seem in control. They have underlings that they can boss around, and they take charge in their own way.
I think that's normal, though.
That's what the heroes have to go through. They have to learn, because they are going through their hero's journey thing. Yeah, and the villain is already in the position of power, and so it's basically as if it, from the limited time frame of the story we see, it's as if they have it handed to them, and that's what these activist types also want. They already want to have the power. They don't want to go through the hardship.
Yeah, usually when we talk about villains in general, like with Bond, they're always over the top, and they're usually rich because to facilitate the plot that constitutes a destruction or a takeover or a killing, you need resources. So when you are a rich, evil dude, you do things with your power for your own reasons, for your own selfishness. So they could be perverse. They could be evil in other ways outside of the story. And that's like, oh, that makes sense. He not only wants to take over the world, he likes hunting puppies on weekends, or something really nefarious that would make the audience go, oh my God, this man's a monster. Like, do the most horrible things, the cutest thing, the most innocent thing in the world. That's normal. That's fine. To make them weird is fine. To make them like sexually diverse is fine. It makes no difference unless it's supposed to play into the psyche that queer is evil, which has nothing to do with reality. But if you want to make them different, make them flamboyant, then that could be part of it. That could be part of the way they dress, the way they look. What was the David Bowie film where he played the Labyrinth, yeah. Like people were saying that's queer coded. No, he's just flamboyant. He could be queer, but he obviously wants to dance with the female protagonist. So
and he's the portrayal of the devil, which means he is a tempter.
Yeah, that's the point of his character, or the function of his character is to do that. Whether he comes across as effeminate.
It's one of the male sexuality icons of the time. That was one version of it. It's similar to the Japanese bishi.
Right. And that's totally fine. You want the villain, the tempter, the trickster to be a little weird. And you could take that sexually. It's very easy. You could take that as...
Because it stands out. It stands out, it gains attention.
Right. And it's supposed to make you think, going, whoa, why is he so weird? And is he a good kind of weird? Because they like playing with this concept of the eccentric. And it's either the brains or the guy who's got the secrets that no one knows, or he has like
give you a harmless example of that is Phileas Fogg in Jules Verne's 80 Days Around the World. And I think he's really well portrayed by Pierce Brosnan in the 89 version. They made a series with Pierce Brosnan as Phileas Fogg, and you had Sean Connery. Who else? It's fun. I call it droll. It's like the best way to put it. It's rather innocent. And Eric Idle as Passepartout. They have all these wonderful names in there, and
that sounds great.
And Sir Peter Ustinov as the detective. It's a wonderful combination of actors. And
it's a comedy? What is this?
No, it's not a comedy. It's played straight. Like it has some comedic elements in it. What?
With Ustinov?
Yeah, with Ustinov as the fat detective.
Okay.
But it has its lighthearted comedic moments, but it is played straight.
Okay.
It is played in earnest.
If you guys don't know, Peter Ustinov is very famously known for playing the comedic version of Hercule Poirot. So in several films. So if you ever know anything about Agatha Christie, it's kind of this bizarre take on Poirot, but it's actually kind of fun.
What was it? And Pierce Brosnan plays Phileas Fogg as a very authentic, very, very inward, locked in his ways, coming off as eccentric, autistic man. Before the term autistic was defined, or rather made public, made popular. But that's a very, very good description of a high functioning person with autism, and which also plays into his relationship with, I forgot the name of the Indian princess, but I always keep forgetting it. That's this standing out due to his eccentric behavior. Like he's always a bit stiff, always in control, always principled, and that's also his charm at the same time. That the exact thing that makes him makes him a bit put off, makes him stand out, and it is also his charm. But that is in a positive version, in a positive light, contrary to a tempting. Temptress. What's the male word for temptress?
Seductor.
Character like David Bowie in Labyrinth. It's like that's a negative version of the eccentric charm.
Well, the trickster, or you can call like Scar in Lion King. I don't know why they call him queer coded or gay coded. He's just the evil guy. It comes across so obvious. He's sly. Mm-hmm. He attacks from behind. He's basically an Iago from Othello in a Disney film. It's very straightforward. There's nothing sexual at all about him. He's just evil. He comes across very clearly as evil. Anyway.
Practice my curtsy.
Ursula's queer-coded design was inspired by Divine, a drag queen who rose to prominence in John Waters' films, reaching something of a commercial breakthrough with her role in Hairspray in 1988.
I'm trying to iron in here.
Just before she tragically passed away. Prior to that, Divine was a mainstay on the
drag queen. Okay, woman. A drag queen is not trans. A drag queen is a he. Maybe trying to play a woman. But this is truly just a performance. Maybe it's a fetish performance like what this here is. Has nothing to do with trans. Go away, you creepy woman. You creepy sex-obsessed woman. Why are you obsessed with men transitioning anyway? Or transition in the first place? This is so weird. I've seen weird shit on the internet. but nothing like seemingly normal women obsessed with transitioning children. Like there's weird shit going on with the furries, but this is with the furries. You know they're weird, but these women, they look completely normal. They look completely average. You couldn't tell them, but then they're all weirdly obsessed with doing this to children and with transitioning with men in dresses. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Can we investigate that?
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. I have seen plays, and the one I watched went to is called Kinky Boots. It's about a young black guy who likes dancing and singing as a boy, and he likes shoes, his mom's shoes, and he becomes a guy in drag. And that's the whole the guys. There's a fetish of guys who like kinky boots. That's their thing. And that's how they bring this factory, the shoe factory, back to life, because everyone's going to lose their job. So they start selling boots to men. And everything seems fairly innocent. There's no grooming. There's nothing like that. It's just a stage production of singing and dancing, and people accepting that, yeah, guys like other things that aren't related to work, like nice shoes, fancy shoes, maybe shoes for women. I don't know. But it was a simple message. It doesn't have to be weird. It doesn't have to be sexualized. It just has to be, oh, you like a thing. Good for you.
There was a time where the left was about, you shouldn't be judged or put into boxes because you like a certain thing or you do a certain thing a certain way. And now the left is all about boxes.
Yeah, it's
so
like
it's like solely there's like you accidentally sneeze in the wrong direction, box.
Yeah, it's like any hobby a guy has that mainstream society says, oh, you like collecting baseball cards, or you like playing this game, or you like video games, or you like comic books. Like, there's nothing wrong with liking something. The problem with this sort of interest, because it's sexual, it can be fetishized. And now that's associated with children. This is where people go, whoa. We don't care what you do. But once you start sexualizing something and associating it with minors, then obviously you're going to have a problem. And these people don't get it. And you're like, okay, well, this is where we have a big problem with society.
Yeah. The counter argument they in America try to bring with that is, but the conservatives are doing their kid patients, or whatever, however you pronounce that weird word, with like 5-year-old girls getting beauty surgery, and you're okay with that? The majority of society is not okay with that. It doesn't matter
very
what on the
specific
spectrum you see people, the majority of people tend to not be okay with doing weird things to children, especially because those beauty contests, they're also pretty sexualized.
Yeah.
It does look a lot like
that was made popular by Jean-Benet Ramsey case back in the 90s, I believe. Or was it the 80s?
I hear a French name in that, so it doesn't surprise.
Well, it was an American story. So, but yeah, it's those weird sort of beauty pageants, talent pageants, and they're not just for Americans. I've seen Russian ones, fairly interesting. Beautiful kid, beautiful boy.
Don't look at Pakistan.
Oh yeah, okay.
They have that on an insane level. It's that amalgamated with their Bajabazi practice, which is basically just child sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
And they imagined combining the child sexual exploitation of little boys with Japanese idol industry. That's what they are doing there. That is just you don't hear about that here.
Well,
because it's too obvious.
The fact that we had the winner of, was it the U.S. or the World pageant beauty, was won by a trans woman. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't remember the date.
I heard about that for 5 seconds. You can imagine my comment on that.
Yeah, it's just these things are happening, and you're just like, okay, this is not going to last. There's no way people are going to.
Yeah, that is just as rigged as anything else, and it's done for political reasons. Just like the Oscars have nothing to do with the quality of a movie or.
Anyway, let's get back to the video. We're almost done. 5 minutes left.
Tomorrow. And there's a great diva-ish beauty to Ursula, which aligns with the showmanship and the ostentatiousness of drag.
Ursula's an especially fun villain, not only because she looks like an octopus, you have that great movement with her lower regions, but she's also very sophisticated.
In truth, Ursula and Ariel have a lot in common. To live as her true self, Ursula has paid a price.
She has a lot in common.
What is that that annoying line?
Oh yeah,
you and I, we are not so different.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say. This is not the story of that line. I'm sorry to take. This is not the right comment to make. Ariel is a very straightforward character. Ursula is a very straightforward character. Yes, she's got a little bit more to her because she's smarter and older and more powerful, as a villain should be. But no, she just wants power, and Ariel wants to experience a new world. That's it.
Ariel is becoming ostracized from her society, cast out by the very same man, King Triton.
Banished and exiled and practically starving.
Her first scene alludes to the fact
Because she's evil. She's a criminal.
The fact that Ursula previously enjoyed a cozy life of power and status.
In my day, we had fantastical feasts when I lived in the palace.
King Triton.
So she was an indulgent aristocrat, self-serving.
Yeah, this is a common villain trope. They're rich and powerful, and something happened, and now they're seeking revenge or whatever.
She's criminally insane. Good riddance. They talk about borderline. You want to talk about mental illnesses?
It's with real rage and
Gets a man.
Arguably, this is exactly how King Triton has been socializing Ariel to behave, diminishing her independence and instead encouraging her to toe the line.
Wait a sec. How do we go from a father teaching her daughter to act properly to Ursula being a dejected, evil version of an aristocracy for her criminal actions?
Because he's a man.
I just like, if you actually watch the show, he's like, no, we want you to stay and be a good princess and lead the kingdom and da. Like what you would think a king and father would want their next successor to do. What's wrong with that? I'm not following this. How is Ariel like Ursula? Because it's just so dumb.
No. Ursula is like Triton, because like he is having a horrible oppressive regime. Ursula just would make a worse one. So she has to say it that way because Triton is a man, so it's a patriarchy, and the patriarchy must be stopped. But Ursula obviously would be a worse option.
Masculine underwater magical creature.
Yeah, but she cannot say that Triton's rule is actually good and justified, because that would justify the patriarchy, and you can't have that.
Even though he's keeping peace between the fish kingdom and the human kingdom by not hurting them or not taking anything from them, even though he's the victim in all the instances because no one knows about the mermaids.
He's apparently also not eating scared shrimp.
Who are still
like
alive.
Ursula. Yeah.
Actually, he gets turned into one of those things, I think.
Oh God!
Near the end, right? After she,
I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah, she takes his what's it called? Not the pendant. Trident.
The crown.
The magical trident, and he turns him into one of those worms.
Is completely at odds with Ursula's bolder, more punkish attitude. Very differently from Ariel, though, Ursula is power-hungry, unable to get over the loss of the power she once had, and this makes her willing to exploit and oppress anyone she must, even innocent souls who are suffering as she has, if it will help her regain the taste of power.
At last.
Yeah, borderline.
It's mine.
To an extent, in this way, Ursula echoes Triton, who also uses his authority to silence dissent.
But if you would just listen.
Not another word.
As much as
you put those on the same level. Dad's telling his stupid, ignorant child, stop it.
The
you
guy
put that on the same level as the evil, insane witch turning people into little weird worm things.
The king, who is pretty peaceful and nice, wants to preserve his kingdom to the power-hungry witch.
What Triton is doing is called parenting. And I hate to say it, but he's right. It's just that the Disney thing has a happy ending because anything. But he is, if you look at the original story, he's right. He's not overprotective. Because in the original story, Little Mermaid turns to sea foam. He lost his daughter because his daughter was an idiot who didn't listen.
Yeah, they want the hero of the story to be true and accurate and win and honest and all those good virtues that Disney characters have to have, or Disney protagonists have to have. And they have to teach by victory, so they did the right thing and everyone agrees with them and they get married and they live happily ever after, and then the Sea Kingdom and the Earth Kingdom have a little liaison of some kind through the marriage, I guess, at the end.
There is a reason the original fairy tales from the Grimm collection and other fairy tales further in the East are a bit darker. Don't always have these happy endings, and maybe that is relevant for children.
Yeah, you can't always get what you want is one of the lessons from that story.
Mm-hmm. Like even the little Mook.
The Mook?
Mook? Yeah, don't you know the little Mook?
Who's that?
That's it's when I was a kid, I thought that was a story from Arabian Nights.
Oh, okay.
But it was actually written not that long ago. But I have to look that up. It's a bit confusing, but it's a wonderful little story, and there are at least 6 German movies about that since the 60s, 50s, or 60s. But they're not made anymore.
Okay.
Rebels Titan's rule, she ultimately seeks to reproduce and amplify the same type of oppression of his regime.
No. She's just drunk with power because she's evil, and that's it. She goes stupid. Like, she gets the things she's always wanted or whatever the case, but she has no idea after that fact. She has no grand plan. She's just, I have power, brah.
Yeah. And so I know I'm repeating myself, but that's how people with borderline personality disorders would act in that situation. There's no rationality. It's just I want power, and I am sadistically vengeful. The psychopath may have a plan still.
Literal way.
No more talking, singing, zip.
In the end, as she threatens to totally rob Ariel of all independence and agency, Ursula holds a mirror up to Triton, forcing him to see his own oppressive ways taken to extremes.
What?
Because of Ursula, King Triton is able to understand how wrong he was to push Ariel away and hold her back from following her heart.
Wait, no. Ariel's the one who wrote her name on the contract. That was her.
She's trying to redeem Ursula.
Did they put on a fucking propaganda film instead, and then just say, "Oh, guys, we're gonna go watch Little Mermaid"? Proceeds going to the other theater and watch propaganda.
I don't know. This scene is him going, I guess I have to give up my kingdom for my daughter because I love my daughter. Which would create conflict, allowing Ursula to become all powerful or whatever with the power of the Trident.
I repeat what I said in other words before. The take in other streams, the take is a perfect example of gaslighting and propaganda and brainwashing.
This is a really bad interpretation of this scene, but I mean, if she would just play out the words, what they say would be very clear.
She really does love him, doesn't she, Sebastian?
And at last
This
he
is the
comes to
ending.
see that what his daughter needs...
No, it's not the scene. This is the ending of this.
Could you imagine they took the whole movie, they spliced it up to be a totally different thing where it's like, you're right, Ursula. I should let my daughter do horrible things.
Yeah,
and just cut to happy ending.
Yeah, they skipped the climax entirely, the entire conflict with Ursula, how she loses, and just, oh, she really does love him. I guess I'll make her happy. Like,
You see a static image of Ursula because there's no footage, there's no animation for it, so it's just static Ursula.
yeah, there's also no mention of Triton having the ability to turn her into a human. There's no, we don't know that. And if this was if Ariel wasn't a dunce, or actually she knew what it meant to be a king of the sea, she would at least know what you could do. She'd be like, Daddy, I really want to visit the human world. Can you have an expedition? And we'll all be transformed for a day with a bunch of your knights or whatever.
Oh, that would be a mature story. That would make sense.
Yeah, but instead it's, I love forks and dancing, and like, okay.
Yeah, that's childish. That's immature.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. It's supposed to be for kids, so it resonates a lot easier that way. And not to say you couldn't do it other ways, but you don't need all this extra.
But it's also much more. There are no questions for kids with the whole sea fish people versus humans,
right? Yeah.
For the star-crossed lovers story. Than as there would be for the two kingdoms, because if it would just be two kingdoms, like why go to the magician? Just sneak out.
It would be a flavor or version of Romeo and Juliet, which I think probably would have been a lot more interesting or complicated, and kids would still get it because it wouldn't be as violent. It would just be, oh, they're being pulled apart, and there's factions, and they don't know that she's really an underwater princess. Like, ooh.
And it's due to this the nature of these that you have the kingdom and you have the magical under kingdom knows about. You have this physical barrier that is so obvious that children don't question. Don't question why is there a problem here?
Have the balcony scene be reversed. He's on the dry land above her, and she's in the water, and they're like, "Why can't you come out?" It's like, well, I'm in this world, literally, and you are up on the balcony looking down at me, and we both can't get what we want. They both love each other. They secretly think this, but they don't know how to express it because they don't know what that means.
And you play the scene at night so that she can remain hidden.
Well, yeah, until
so that he doesn't see that she's a fish.
And then that's one of the major conflicts where he goes, "Oh my God, I can't love a mermaid. What do I have to think about my family and what they're going to think?" And then he has to make the choice, saying, "I don't care what my family thinks. I'm going for love." And that's the big tragedy in the family. Like, doesn't know what to do, and maybe the mother is very gentle about it. She says, "Go for it," and the father's the opposite. So you have even more conflict. This stuff writes itself. It's very straightforward. So did they have to do that? No. I think the film is great. It's perfect for kids. There's lots of great music, as you guys know all the Under the Sea lyrics, I'm sure, when you sing them with your nieces and nephews. But it's not that complicated. It doesn't have to be. So should they remake it? They did, but not in the way that we described. They just used live action, which
in the worst way possible, while it's the same people who complain about cultural appropriation completely massacre this material, which is culturally not theirs in the first place.
Right. Anyway.
Just walk her own path. After Ashman's death in 1991, Disney's next film, Beauty and the Beast, for which he also wrote the lyrics, ended with a dedication to him that read, "To our friend Howard, who gave a mermaid her voice and a beast his soul, we will be forever grateful." Similarly to The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast centers on a girl who rejects the traditional love that society expects her to have in favor of a non-traditional...
That's not traditional love that society expects her to have.
That's just also that is still just the same thing. From the point of view of Ariel's society, she wants a non-traditional relationship. It's the same thing.
This is big.
From the point of Ariel's society, the humans are the beasts.
Yeah, this is not the same theme.
This is a good example. She's right now demonstrating that women have no empathy. Beautiful.
I can't remember any male courtesan or any kind of other like third party like love triangle in Little Mermaid. I don't think you needed that at all in a romance. I really.
Oh no, that's not. I don't think that's the problem.
Well, that's what they're trying to explain, that this society in Beauty and the Beast, because
no, the society is this woman wants to be with furry, while in Mermaid it is scaly wants to be with human.
Well, the character of Belle is she's a bookworm,
which is the same, but it's the same societal problem.
But we have Belle who just sort of gets into events out of her control, whereas Ariel's like, no, I want to go there. This is my driving force. And she's smart enough to say Gaston is not for her. And I don't think that's society pushing Gaston onto her. I just think that's the music, how like Gaston's great and everyone loves him because he's a good hunter or whatever. That's fine within the culture of that town. But that's just a fun music piece. It's not her dad or anyone saying, yeah, Gaston's great. There's no conflict there. Gaston is the conflict. He's the villain he's the secondary villain making the rest of the conflict pop up. That's it. He's not there as a representation of society. That's kind of weird. I don't think I've ever thought of Gaston as, well, he's the alpha male and this is what is expected of Belle. It's like, nope. Never thought that once.
Rome may appear strange or wrong to smaller-minded individuals. The villain of that piece isn't the beast of the title, but ordinary humans who can't see beyond the surface.
Well, that's okay. If you want to give an allegory that way, sure, you could say that the real beasts are the humans because they see a giant bear man who growls in a castle. that's cursed.
Triton also didn't want to see beyond the surface.
Oh yeah,
she's trying to put this as if these are as if these two stories are opposites, but they are in the parts that she talks about, they are the same. It's just that she can't see that because she's so superficial that she thinks, because it's underwater, it's not the same thing.
Within the general high-level concept, yes, it's society versus individual interest, but it's any story where you have an individual protagonist going for what they want, and everyone's saying, no, don't do that. Because problems, because conflict, because danger, all these other excuses, and they push forward.
Yeah, she and apparently no one else on her team can think like that.
It's
very, very limited.
I don't like reducing stories to just like, protagonist wants something, everyone disagrees, they push forward as a hero should, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a hero.
Yeah, but the thing is, she's trying to do that, but she's doing it wrong.
Oh, yeah, of course, but it's just,
I'm just saying, if you want to do that,
yeah, I know, it's
this is how you would do that right.
I know, it's just, if you reduce everything to just conflict, protagonist, desire, you're like, all right, generic thing in the world, every story does that. Great, okay. Anyway.
Monster Gaston, you are.
Ariel is branded by Disney almost exclusively as a mermaid, but if we've learned anything from this
She is a mermaid.
movie,
Her
it's that
true
Ariel
self is a mermaid.
not a mermaid. She's a human, and she
No.
She did not have human dysphoria, you twat.
She magically turns into a human twice. We don't know how. It doesn't make her change. She's the same person on the inside. She has legs now. That's it. Everything else about her is still Ariel.
always before her body reflected that. And contrary to notions that children should be protected from queer stories, or that they're not...
It's not a queer story, you weirdo. Oh my God.
Okay, I will say, there's this woman, I will tell you what is usually told to men. Start thinking with your brain and not with what's between your legs.
Oh.
I think we should tell that to women more often.
Well, these kinds of women, maybe. This is such a weird series of statements. You're just like, no.
Yeah, and Enigma in the chat is completely correct. The mermaid is marketed as a mermaid because girls love mermaids.
Kind of helps when the title is called The Little Mermaid and everyone knows it.
She's a human that needs to fucking make a Faustian deal to become human again. Even though where the fuck...
It's just like when we saw The Little Mermaid, everyone knew the name Ariel, everyone knew the redhead, everyone knew the music. It became a cultural icon. It still is, and that's why when we have iterations on that, same way we have iterations on our favorite animations or shows like adaptations like Cowboy Bebop, we're like, oh boy, this is changing a household name. This is changing your favorite thing. How are you going to do it justice? And that is the problem with Disney today. They are They are trying to reinvent themselves with the same old stuff.
They're not. They're not. Well, that I wouldn't call that reinventing yourself. If you just reinvented yourself, you would just make new things that are not like the old things.
Well, you're regretting.
But rewriting the old things instead, that's something else.
Right, which is why I still appreciate the Beauty and the Beast live adaptation, because it is pretty much the same. It has amazing visuals and music, and I think the music's the same. Like, I think every piece of note or piece of music is the same, and it's like going to the stage production. The same idea, only now it's on your TV.
I'm surprised that they thought that this would make that all of the stuff they're doing right now would be successes when all of their continuations all went straight to VHS or DVD, like The Little Mermaid 2 or The Lion King. I don't know, 55.
I don't know
of
what
these things, and nobody even knows of them.
Yeah, I don't know what the prerogative of those projects were or what they were trying to do. Thinking that, in the 90s you go to a Blockbuster after you go grocery shopping, or kids on their bikes go to a Blockbuster and rent some films and they go, "What? Little Mermaid? What?" And I never understood that business model of going to VHS or
straight
TV.
to VHS.
Straight to yeah, I never understood what was the point.
I can still see straight to TV because you can get ad money like that, but straight to VHS is like these things are. I don't even remember these things being advertised, at least not here.
I do remember. I think it was the Cinderella one with the black Cinderella in the 90s. That was straight to TV, and that was a big deal. And it was
yeah, which is also a very, very, very stupid way to call it, because Cinderella is basically like Snow in complexion.
They had all these different, like the biracial king and queen, you know, all these other couples, you know, just like, all right, whatever. And it was a good music. Like, obviously these people were talented. They were actors, they were singers and dancers, so they were very good performers. But it's such a weird take. You're like, all right, whatever. I mean, you can appreciate it for what it's worth, is what I'm saying. There wasn't some weird message with it. They just happened to be interracial couples, and you're like, okay, that's fine.
The interracial king and queen couple, you could somewhat make an argument. The whole royalty from different nations marrying. However, the medieval reality is that it's all inbreeding.
Well, it's kind of hard to say, because if you
just find that funny.
If you actually look at the movie, I think, was it Jason Alexander? He was the butler, or it was no idea. It was really like over the top done with all these like very white king. I think it was Whoopi Goldberg was the queen. It's just a funny thing to watch. But for its time, it was like, wow, they're doing Black Cinderella. It's like, cool, not a big deal. But they weren't shoving it.
Just make it. How about you just make a full Black African adaptation in rural Africa?
Oh, that would be
interesting.
That would be, yeah. I think that'd be too much for to pull off. Like that, you'd have.
You'd have to think how to adapt that to that setting.
The language,
but that's all it is.
The dancing.
Yeah, look, that's all it is. You only adapt it to another setting. What they do instead is just they put different races into the same story.
Well, no, they would change the cultural music. They would change the dress, the dance, the food, the architecture. It'd be very interesting, at least to.
I would be. Yeah, I don't like the shit that the wokeists do to all these stories. What I would be interested in, from an arts perspective, would be, for example, if you want to do some black interpretation thing, do the tribal African Cinderella. What would that look like? How would that play out? What would the elements be?
Have the gods, instead of a fairy godmother, have an actual god of whatever. I don't know what the African gods are, the pantheon.
Yeah, and instead of a pumpkin car, you get a
plantain.
Plantain. What? No. What is it? A martyr. Yeah, it's made out of the martyr plant.
Oh, I was hoping for those 6 guys doing the dancing for the coffin. That would be perfect.
Yeah.
They'd be carrying the giant banana on their shoulder. That'd be brilliant.
It's like, I want to be a princess. Cut to that.
Yeah. Yes. Silver Ogre in the chat. Of course, it would be really interesting if somebody made the Anansi story, but neither that nor that is Anansi.
Yeah.
Or the Orisha would ever be touched by the left. And the reason, I believe, that the thing that makes sense is they will not push actual African culture and mythology, because that would eliminate the reason to twist and sully what they call the white culture, because they wouldn't need that anymore. So they deprive the blacks through America of culture in order to justify that. Well, you need to take the white people's culture because there is no other.
Yeah, the best
that's it.
Is Gaiman's Anansi
American
Boys.
Gods.
Well,
Anansi Boys.
Anansi Boys.
I still haven't read that one. I have it on the shelf.
Apparently, it's pretty decent. as far as like American Gods, if you can digest American Gods, Nancy Boyce is no problem. So
the book of American Gods is amazing. It's one of my favorite books.
It's hard at times, but for Gaiman, it's like, this is okay, Gaiman, you're just regurgitating.
Yeah, I was used to Gaiman's writing before, so.
Oh yeah.
Don't watch the show. It's shit.
It's not that bad, but yeah, it's very different from what the book did, and the book is not the best. I still think it's a regurgitation, but it's still pretty interesting, and it's fun. It's a fun read.
At the same time, what was the other book that's very similar? The one with the doors? I don't remember the title.
The Doors.
We have the girl that finds a way to go through all these doors to get to places that her father researched. I don't remember the entire plot. I had that and American Gods at the same time, and there are similarities.
Are you talking about Coraline? Maybe?
No.
That's her most...
Coraline came later.
Okay, that must have been like early 2000s then. It wasn't Neverwhere. I don't think it was.
Yes, Neverwhere, exactly.
Neverwhere?
Yes, it was Neverwhere.
Oh, that must have been 90s as well then. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and I got both books at the same time, and I noticed that these are completely different characters, but there are story beats that seem similar, but I didn't go again through the books in order to figure them out. It was just this intuitive thing, and then later I hear people saying, "Yeah, he does always the same thing in chapter 3."
Exactly. That's the thing. When you think about Gaiman, I'm reading American Gods. It's like I could have swore I read this in The Sandman like 10 years ago.
In that sense, he's a bit like Haruki Murakami.
Murakami,
not with structure, Murakami has like, he also does some things that are always the same.
His bingo card is a bit bigger, I would say. He's much more diverse than Gaiman. Yeah, he'll always go into the supernatural, but Gaiman is always about, like, I'm going to talk about this god, only I'm going to have my own twist on it, or this angel, I'm going to have my own twist on it. It's always mythos, always. So that's why I like Stardust so much, because, like, okay, give me something new. That's not about gods and angels and this and that. Give me something.
Yeah, but that is his shtick. Neil Gaiman wrote a compilation book about Norse mythology that is decent.
Right, that's his research. He does a good job. Anyway,
yeah,
we're almost done. One more minute.
Old enough to question their gender or sexuality, Ariel never wavers in knowing
what is
who
old
she
enough.
Is. It's everyone around her who has to catch up.
Then I guess there's just one problem left. How much I'm going to miss her.
Okay, how many moralities out of Maggie May do you give her?
I would give this a 4 out of 5 if we're giving it that scale. She's almost as close as neuralities, nowhere near as not psychotic, as crazy as Maggie. But this was a pretty bad because the premise was the same. She never changed her mind, and she kept jumping from whatever queer started off to trans and back to queer, but the queer mention was only about the villain. So what the hell are you using the villain as a queer allegory for? That never popped up in the film. That you thought Ursula was I don't know, homosexual or something? I don't know.
Have you ever talked with delusional schizophrenics?
No, not delusional schizophrenics. I have spoken to schizophrenics, but not like think that like they're talking to aliens all the time. No.
No, this is not about talking to aliens. It's just the pattern recognition work, right? So they see patterns where there are none. They can't filter out the patterns that are wrong. And that's how they see all these connections between things that aren't there.
Well,
and they logic it to you. They try to logic it to you, but if anybody who listens to that sees that doesn't work.
If you ever want to study psych, the first thing you should do is either get with a lab program or go straight to a psych ward or a geriatric ward, and just
geriatric. Because the brains are failing.
Just try talking to any of those people, and if you can tolerate that, you're good to go for a caring position, whether it's psych or nursing or.
I'm telling you, I can tolerate the patients more than I can tolerate the staff.
Really?
Because the staff in German clinics, at least,
okay.
the staff seems more in need of psychiatric care than many patients.
They need time off, like you and I believe. Yeah.
It's not just time off. The amount of emotional immaturity, of narcissistic personality disorders is massive in Germany, including on the therapist side, because it's not filtered out at all in university.
All right. Well, that was the take and their brain dead approach to good children's Disney films that are classics. So if you guys, I remember my aunt in Ottawa. She would have the entire VHS collection in her closet, and every time she would babysit, she was a babysitter. She would
get it out of the closet.
She would have 8. Was it 8? I don't know what the collection was. It must have been at least 12. And she would just randomly pick one and say, "What did you guys watch? Did you guys watch Pocahontas yet? No, okay, we'll do it." And she would cook and clean and do all the things for the kids, and it was great. She was really good at it.
Okay, that's nice.
I don't think you can do that nowadays, at least with what they've come out with the past 10 years, 20 years. But
do parents still clean and cook?
Yeah, some do. Anyway,
we need to change that.
Yeah, hire robo maids or whatever those robots are.
It's memes.
Yes, we're going to the memes, and we're skipping. Did we skip some from? Yeah, we skipped the memes from Wednesday. So we're gonna try and rewind here. Okay, here we are, July 12th. We're so effing black. Oh my god. Thank you. I don't know what this means. Again, this is all out of context because several days.
How far do I have to scroll?
July 12th.
Yeah, I found it.
Rob Banks, Griffith did nothing wrong. That's a music video. I'm not going to play that for obvious reasons. I don't know what that is though. Giga Chad, this man should thank his lucky stars that Bears and Wisp aren't here. And you put 3. I don't know who was watching that, who enjoyed that, but I think Mark and I were pretty much like we banged our head against the wall once and we just went, yeah, we're not going to bother.
Look, I did not submit to be on for that because I haven't read the thing in full. I don't like being on when I haven't seen or watched or read the thing in full. But oh my god, there's just read the first 10 chapters and it's so obvious that, or 16, and it's so obvious that all Griffith does is evil. All the nice things that you interpret is just his mask. That's just his manipulation. All niceties are fake.
Music videos, Rob Banks is convinced that Griffith did nothing wrong in new music. Okay, that's a joke. I should have never smoked that shit. Now I'm part of the Godhead.
That's basically the argument.
Oh, dear. Griffith apologist alert. Is that a thing? Is that really a thing? I think this is the only example I can think of, aside from that other YouTuber who made that bizarre video about Griffith. And pretty much he made almost the same argument. He had the empathy argument, and I was just sitting there going, because
what
he,
empathy?
Because
you're just not being empathetic enough to the strangers.
Yeah, this is. I still don't grasp having too much of a state of being or too much of an emotion. Eventually, your body's going to express it or be cathartic about it or do something. But I've never seen someone be so nice and so understanding and have the mental, physical, logistical capacity to understand thousands of people and hurt themselves as a result. Like, I don't understand how that's physically possible, how it's empirically possible, and how a good thing becomes a bad thing. Like, my brain is just like, I don't get it. Like, what are you talking about? Because I've met people who are very caring, whether they're nurses or therapists. They get stressed, and they might, punch the wall, get frustrated with their job or their life, but they don't dig into their triceps with their girly nails after like 3 inches lengthwise, shaking.
That has nothing to do with empathetic reaction.
That's a psychopath.
That is just internal psychological pain.
That is psychopathy. If you are violent,
that like injuring yourself like that, like scratching yourself up with your nails, that can also happen in severe PTSD.
You could. Okay, no, I'm not disregarding other issues that you might have, but if you look at like psychopathy or neuropathy,
yeah, with Griffith's reasons, that's psychopathy.
And when he's saying completely straightforward, logically, I thought of this logically, I don't care. Mm-hmm. While I'm scratching myself after I said, so what I could do is sleep with the guy for money. And we all know from the narrative how prideful that Guts knows Griffith is. And Casca's just a simp. I've never seen him so depressed. Yeah, because you're biased towards him. He could have any face on. I've never seen him so happy. I've never seen...
Yeah.
It's like, what?
The thing is, Casca does not love Griffith. Casca loves the image she has of Griffith, that Griffith projected.
Even Minister Ross couldn't figure Griffith out to the point that when he mentioned the death of Adonis, he deduced that because Griffith was stoic, therefore he had nothing to do with it. You're like, oh,
he was confused. He also think, maybe it's a triple. but he immediately said, like, this guy had absolutely no reaction.
Yeah, and
that's more than somebody, like, even somebody stoic may still have a passive reaction, like at least going pale a little bit, but trying to keep his facade, his contour, keeping his God, what is the word? I'm losing my thesaurus.
Poker face.
Yeah, sort of. No, I can't come up with it.
Well, it's
like, but keeping your composure.
There you go. Yeah, but that's the thing.
Griffith had nothing.
He was so convinced that because he didn't react, therefore he wasn't involved. Even though this is the biggest monster this guy has never faced before, he's
just heard about. He heard about it. I mean, he heard about it the night before, so he could have technically processed it already somewhat if he was a normal person. But still, you are bringing up the assassination of an innocent child. That moves people.
Even Guts was freaking out when he did it. I love
what he did.
I like the argument that Guts is a horrible assassin. It's like, no, he's an amazing assassin.
He's absolutely not. He didn't want to do this in the first place. He just did it because this guy is. I kind of see this guy as my friend, and he seems to know what he's doing. And that guy tried to assassinate him. So
no. That's called.
And then it's rather that the whole situation got out of hand.
The argument from what's his face was it's self-defense. It's like, that's not self-defense. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and when Guts sat on the roof and watched the father and the son train sword fighting, he was reminded of his own childhood.
Right. Yeah.
So this thing was emotionally conflicting for Guts.
Which shows Guts. This is how stories are done. You have flashbacks for a good reason. That was a very good use of a flashback. It was very quick. It was 1 page, I think, or 2 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kills the guy who reminded him of himself, not accidentally, because everyone says it's an accident. He just killed the person who saw him get caught.
So he had to. And then he realized, oh shit, it's the kid. And oh god, oh crap. That's not a heartless, horrible, evil assassin. The one who gives the orders kind of also responsible.
This is great. Griffith says he doesn't remember the eclipse because he was drunk. Now chooses to live as a gay man. As those closest to me know, in my life I have had a relationship with both men and women. They're all dead.
Right.
Oh boy. Oh no, what's this? Griffith did nothing wrong. Okay. Some of you may die, but this is a sacrifice I am willing to make. Oh, it's a great reference.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much his character.
Yeah, he's worse than Farquaad.
Yeah, well. I am the Hawk of Light. I have a dream. You belong to me. And then okay.
Because Farquaad consider that some of you may die. Griffith sacrificed everyone. Like actively. It's not like, it's maybe a passive result of my orders. Nope. I actively do the thing.
So here we got, I don't know what we're measuring here, but no Griffith bad. That's the surface level reaction, which is fine. Griffith did nothing wrong, the smug person who thinks he knows better. That wasn't Griffith, that was Femto. No, right up until the moment where he sacrifices, he's still Griffith. The thing about that scene that never got me, because he's talking, but we know his tongue was cut out. So it's like, how is this working?
Is that his mental voice?
You know, I wish they would have shown his tongue like magically grow back just because they're gods. That would have been nice.
The relevant thing is even because this guy's argument was that his rational thinking is impaired. Yeah, but it's still his core character that makes the intuitive decisions, which are his true desires.
On the original stream we were talking about MPD and DID, and the reason why I was going to bring that up, we never got around to it because he kept talking in different directions, was the fact that when you go from a bad place, like Griffith was basically a skeleton for a year and tortured, and someone gives you an injection like super serum and you turn into Captain America and you're essentially a demigod, you don't have negative requirements. You're pretty much on cloud nine. God knows what kind of chemicals or endorphins are pumping through your body. Whereas psychology mostly deals with negative things. So when he's saying, this is a different personality, I'm like,
no.
How is that a different personality? Personality problems, disassociation occurs because of trauma. Me giving you a shot of happy juice, which restores your body to a goth god or whatever you want to call Femto, would make you feel amazing. You wouldn't lose your mind.
And changes of personality are extremely rare. In German, we call that Wesensänderung, which I recently learned is a term in philosophy that only exists in German. It's one of those things. Wesensschau.
Well,
Wesensschau is a philosophical term, and I have not found a proper translation for that.
Well, imagine if it was the opposite. Imagine that Griffith did not get captured for 1 year and tortured, and he was just as good as he was when he lost the guts, and the Godhead comes and says, okay, we're going to kill you as a mortal, and boom, they torture him, but you have control over your men, and you could rape Koska and all this other stuff. Then you could argue, he's going from the height of where he was to the bottom and transforming into this skeleton. That would cause a severe defense mechanism of some kind, whether that's disassociation or whatever. So that would be like, okay, you might have a claim there, but then the narrative has to respect that.
Yeah, but from the from all the time of the Golden Age, we get all these especially as the reader. The characters can't catch on because they're blinded by the charisma. But as the reader, we know where it's going, and we can we even get these direct moments where we are shown Griffith's true face time and again. We get his explanations about how he sees the world, how he sees people, what is important to him, and everything else goes beneath that. And that is his action at the end by sacrificing everyone is just the logical conclusion of all of that. It's how he would act.
So, I don't know if we could use this meme properly. I don't think he ever apologized, Griffith. So
it's okay. He said he's sorry.
Oh, but look, Stephen will project that onto.
Oh, okay, the Stephen thing. What else we got here? What do you say, Squidward? Want to be our new Kingsman? Oh, Jesus.
That's actually funny.
That is.
Oh boy.
That looks fun.
It's okay. Oh, I said something. All right. Griffith, your Jordans are fake. Okay. Oh, boy. I don't know what a bunch of dancing guys mean, but all right. We'll go with that. Whoa there, Guts. You hit your head pretty good there. Clips, Femto, what are you talking about? Come on, man. We have to go The ceremony we are going to become nobles. Ha ha ha. Wouldn't that have been a nice twist? No, it would have been horrible. German from Brazil and German from Germany.
True, but nothing to do with the streams.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here. Everything I say is a joke. It's just satire. Unless you agree with me, then it's real. But if you disagree, it's just a joke. Yep.
Yep. What was the name for that? Schrödinger's douchebag.
Is that an actual?
It's Schrödinger's douchebag. It's all sincere unless there's backlash, and then it's just a joke, bro.
Yeah. This is what the defenders of what's his name? That YouTuber who makes jokes all the time and then he does reviews in a joking fashion.
Donkey.
That's a donkey defense. Oh,
It's
just
a narcissistic strategy.
You're just jealous of donkeys. No, he has dumb takes. But he's making a joke. No, he's literally being honest. Girl with a dream of being an actress. Genko. The director of her first movie. Oh.
Oh.
God.
Ooh.
Oh, that took me a moment.
This is
sadly true. I feel.
I'm not even
Especially in
sure
Hollywood.
what to do with this one, but I'm just going to let it go. The real question for what his point with Femto and Griffith being separate beings, is he man or monster, or is he both? Bait or mental retardation, call it. This is a really bad take of the same actor I was referring to in Skyfall in No Country for Old Men, I believe. Or I could be wrong. Guys, I think GigaChat is going to have a stroke. Somebody check out him. I was quoting Whisp. Convenient lies allow me to kill my friends.
The twink, Osborne! First, we must attack his twink.
Yes, he cared about guts and no one else.
Bro, you can't forgive someone if you're dead.
They died for my dreams, so their deaths have meaning, as I killed them.
Someone needs to edit Griffith doing the Norman Osborn. You know how much I sacrificed?
Yeah. That'd be great.
All the people, all of you.
Me with a uranium-shaped stomach, it was 400 million calories, and I'm bulking. Dr. Doom, and what is going on?
I don't know.
What'd you got here, Mike?
I was just putting them, just a reminder. This is the thing that granted him his power. Do these words sound remotely good? Just, they sound as if, hey, do as you will. Bucket chosen one.
Yeah.
Do what you want.
Sure, retard, let's get you to bed. Griffith had empathy for the band of the hawk, and I'm not kidding. We brought up the Mark brought up because we had like 30 or 40 questions and we only went to 3. And one of the statements that we just shook our heads on, like, where are you getting he's gay? And that was like near the 17-minute mark. And I stopped at if you go to the 18-minute mark of his video, it just goes into weird territory. I just can't take it anymore. Mark kept going. So he's like, I gotta bring up the gay thing. I'm like, all right.
I mean, Guts does ask him a few times in the beginning whether he's a homo.
Exactly, because
he's so acting so weird. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I want you. You're mine. It's like, are you gay? Like, what is going on? and then he's gonna say, I'm gonna be your fuckboy if you beat me or something like that. And he beats him, but that's that. So it's fine for Guts to ask that because that's the thing that Guts would say. But this is a meme.
I think that anyone would wonder that.
Yeah, Griffith being gay was a meme, and that's what he brought. He told us because we asked him about that. So I was like, all right, fair enough. But why would you put all this crap in your video if it's just for jokes? When you're trying to make an argument that's serious, it's just this bizarre. Like, you would have said, this is just a joke, guys, but he didn't do that. Not even with visuals. So when you say in the next sentence, obviously Griffith is gay, you're like, oh. And then he has to come on stream to tell us, no, I was joking, it's a meme. Then the whole context of the video is thrown out the door because we don't know what is a joke or a meme. And I had no idea it was a meme. I knew the the title of the video is a meme because I did some research, but that's also a clickbait title. That's also a thing just to get attention, and that's pretty much what he did.
It's just a clickbait title, although I make the argument for all of it, but it's totally not honest. So let's debate as if I mean it for no reason and wasting everyone's time.
Yeah, a debate would have...
But I totally won, and I'm correct.
A debate would have involved a lot more formal format.
Yeah, there was a discussion, and this is one of the things that narcissists and psychopaths don't understand. For them, everything is a debate because everything is about winning. It's not about being correct. It's not about finding the truth. It's about winning. It's about being right, not about being correct.
Okay, so I don't know what this is. My child raised on a healthy diet of TF2 Gmod videos and Toho SMF MMD shitposts could beat up your Coco Melon child? What?
I do not know enough.
A child raised on shitposts could beat up your baby that watched shitty retard videos.
Okay. Yes,
I know what some of these terms mean, but I don't know what Coco Melon is.
Yeah.
The Smudcast showing manga panels when this man lies through his crooked lisping teeth.
This is not a clip.
This is a mag. Yeah, no, it's the argument from primary source is fine. But when I'm using the Japanese anime, it's like, okay, did they translate it wrong? And then you look at the English anime, or the dub.
The dub, they take, there's a scene with a Dunn where they take a little liberty with guts there.
I think every scene is played out to be overly dramatic. And the acting is obviously like English guys really pushing. Whereas the Japanese voice actors, they're playing it, well, as best as you could play a god, playing it pretty straight. So I would like to see another Japanese sub or dub, not a dub, another Japanese sub of that scene with the eclipse, just because it's like, okay, maybe there's a different literary translation that could be written differently. I don't know. So when he said that's not canon, I'm like, I literally heard it and watched it. I saw the subtitles. I wrote it down. I wrote out the entire scene on my notes. And then I provided a link in my my post on Wednesday or Thursday. So if you guys want to watch that, it's episode 24 of Berserk on YouTube, 1024p. Check it out. An apology without change is just a manipulation?
Yep.
I got caught. Sorry. I tone. Oh, jeez. Something ate, right?
You're Italian. You can pronounce this.
Hey, tone. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Some name right here. You thinks that Fanuc with the funny necklace did this?
The funny necklace. That's good. Time to go berserk. Guts Berserk Man, yeah. A good book can change your life. Oh my god.
Volume 13.
Uh-huh.
Guts is me for real. I'll kill for my cause, and I do black tar heroin. Oh boy, here we go. I'm very nervous about this. I've never spoken to a mental patient before. My cousin Douglas was in a place like this one time. Came over to my house for dinner. There was no soda, and he went berserk in 1997. Okay. I think my brain just committed suicide. It's 7:27 p.m. Yeah, okay, we're at least 2 hours and a half in, almost 2 hours and a half in. We're almost done. We're done with 3 hours.
Now let me read this one.
Okay.
Kramer, what's going on here? It's the invocation of doom, Jerry.
Yeah, Mura likes his skulls or his faces. Me this entire episode? Oh, the jester. The sad jester. Misreading the manga, Cyclet, is this evidence? Yeah. Well.
I wanted this with the butterfly being empathy. This is empathy.
That was, I mean,
manipulation.
I don't like it when people say, well, it's in the manga. It's like, where? His facial expression. So you saw a smile, and therefore that means his entire heart is filled with the empathy of thousands of people. And
because every smile is honest.
And every bit of empathy, every rationalization of their dreams and desires and hopes and aspirations cause you to cut yourself with your own fingers.
Even though the smile looks like he wants to eat your soul.
It's a bit, I mean, I can't bring up personal experience or my meanderings through psychology in my first 2 years of university, where you were taught that like attracts like, and good things come from good things and bad things come from bad things. There's no crossover. You don't suddenly have this wonderful life out of nowhere or a horrible life out of nowhere. Something has to come from something. It's very simple. So psychology is mostly the study of negative things happening to people. There's very few studies about, I don't know, runner's high. I mentioned negative empathy, which is a thing, but it's very rarely studied because they see it as a positive thing. They focus on that. But there's no real need or money in how do I feel good psychologically. Let's study it as a science.
It is those seem to be the accidental findings most of the time.
It's
we humans are wired to look for the bad things because threat detection is the most important thing.
Because they are in pain and they want to figure out what the hell's wrong with me. Ask the psychiatrist. If he doesn't have a good answer, ask the psychologist. If he doesn't have an answer, ask the clinical psychologist. If he doesn't have a good, you keep going to get the proper diagnosis. It's very difficult.
When do you ask the forensic psychiatrist?
When there's a homicide. And in a world of murderers and monsters, it's kind of obvious that Griffith is the biggest one, but okay, he may have some good in him. I'm not denying that, but it doesn't come out very clearly. And then to say this small possibility, remember that stupid line from Batman v Superman? If even there's the 1% possibility that he will turn against us, we must take it as absolute certainty. It's the same concept with what he's bringing up. Well, I see empathy, and therefore it must be the most extreme version of empathy imaginable because he's cutting himself. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
That's not how empathy works.
Anyway.
There is a word for that, but I can't...
Oh my God, what is this? Hey Griffith, I'm at KFC. You want anything?
I want wings.
Har har. No memes? Yeah, we were too tired. Anyway, that was the last one. Now it's today's memes. Just saw the cute tiger shark girl swimming with a bull shark. The Atlantic Ocean has fallen. Oh. Hey, Ariel, look under there. You underwear. Aha, made you say underwear. What the heck?
Proceeds to eat them.
Okay. Har har. Me trying not to be misogynist. Women's opinions, women's actions. Well, in certain cases, you might be accurate. Yeah. When I try to order
creatures.
Papa John's, and the cashier recites a death spell from the Necronomicon. Interesting. This is the Little Mermaid story you want. Wow, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Ariel, the Little Mermaid, Arrow Comics.
Was that drawn by who I think it was? Image is too small.
Things are much deader down where it's wetter. Har har, okay. And then we have another one. Different cover, different comic, or same comic. She's got some sort of, looks like an M4, M16 scope. I like her breasts are covered with a starfish. That's kind of cute.
That starfish is happy.
Do you wear the color blue? Welp.
Okay, I'm not going to play that, but I will watch it later. The internet deciding that it must be homosexuality, ordinary friendship on TV shows.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the internet deciding that. It's just this subset of very loud weirdos.
Okay, some underwater scenes in The Little Mermaid will be pure CGI due to the actor not being able to swim. What? She can't swim?
Black people tend to not be... They don't learn to swim.
Right.
They don't need it in Africa, and apparently they never thought it necessary when they came to the West.
I completely forgot about this comic, Penny Arcade, for so long.
Where the hell is your vagina?
I don't even know what their art style has barely changed in the past 8 years. Wisp mentions Tibet. Negative.
No, our good boy point.
In what situation would you use this? Why?
Don't turn this thing into the soy jack.
I'm literally in the room and need to be the center of attention. Wah. Okay. The crying elephant in the room? Interesting. Oh, look how cute. Ariel is trans and queer. Oh no, it's retarded. Yeah, you know what? If that was the actual message of the Disney version of Little Mermaid, I don't think parents would have liked that in the 90s. They would have been like, what the? Excuse me? I'm not watching this crap. Japan's Little Mermaid. No.
Wait. Was this the one where the mermaid family is the mermaid Yakuza?
Yes. And the ending is he ends up becoming this beefy, like this super beefy dude with drugs. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's gorgeous. It's kind of funny. It's kind of a satire, but it's kind of a cute romance as well. But it's ridiculous. It is very silly. And you have the best friend is a literal monkey, or a man who pretty much is a monkey. It's magical mermaid Yakuza nonsense. Oh, and the assassin's this tiny little. You know how Sebastian's a little crab? Well, she's a little something. I don't know. But she's very deadly. All right, already saw that. Headcanon, cute. I like it. I like that. That's a German.
Prussian.
Is it Prussian?
Prussian.
It reminds me of not Edward. What the hell's his name? The German great. What's his name? Frederick the Great.
Friedrich.
That's what it looks like.
The Friedrich 1 or Friedrich 2?
The pommel hat. That's what that is, right? On top of the
Pickelhaube.
Okay, fine.
Pommel hat.
This is my Thank you for that wonderful picture.
That seems to be the Noralities version.
I'm the one who rescued you. Huh, neat. She can write.
Damn.
Okay.
Should have root for literary skills.
It's not the left can't meme per se. It's that their viewpoints rely on a carefully constructed denial of reality. That's a fair point. To a far greater extent than any of the cults or religions they seek to supplant. This doesn't lend itself to simple, easily conveyed messages because if you rely on your viewers to see things as they are, without providing several layers of carefully selected context, they'll interpret it the wrong way. The left can't meme because memes are an antithesis of how they communicate.
Yes, on point.
The end result is still the same. They can't meme.
Yes, it's just the explanation on why.
Yeah. Look at smudged handwriting. I love my daughter Ariel. You want to read this?
Yeah, I want to read this. I love my daughter Ariel. And Arista, Athena, Adela, Adrena, Alana, oh shoot, Anna? Other daughters, Arista. Oh. Anna. Wrong movie, Dad.
Interesting.
I don't know the reference.
Shrew this trope. The nag trope. It's time to write it out. Why?
Why? It's the reality. It's you. You just wanted to go on because it reminds you of yourself.
Whether it's a man or a woman getting angry, I don't see why you would deny basic human emotion.
Because women, they don't do negative things. Everything you believe about women that is negative is just not true, and it's just a misogynist. It's why you need to stop. You need to see women as these magical, angelic beings that can't sin.
Look at me. I'm the Little Mermaid. Okay, hear me out. Sure.
No, we are not having a repeat of Shark Tale.
Why did the mermaid wear seashells? Because the D shells were too big. Huh. That is different. SpongeBob crossover, it looks like.
No, just that.
You got Zoidberg trying to eat Ariel. I think that's Abe Sapien, not sure.
Yeah. So a bunch of Futurama, etc., etc.
What is happening to the poor Carpador?
Cool.
Monkey Carp.
I don't know what this is. Mermaids. Only 3 seconds. Okay, I'll play it.
If we see any mermaids, I'm going to ask them where their merginas are.
Okay, fair enough. There it is. The 90s, was it 8? 97, 98 Cinderella for TV. And the fairy godmother was Tina Turner. It's great.
A true classic, right?
It was amazing music, as you can imagine.
You wish you had those types of kingdoms in Africa.
Well, the fact that it was an excuse to get really talented people to sing and dance was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, but then don't call it a true classic.
That's true. Oh, we got Pokemon. Great. How to catch your water types. And then we got some sort of...
Is that Cuphead?
No, yeah, it's Cuphead.
Okay. Cute. I like the octopus hat. It's a dead octopus, and she's just curling up the the arms. There it is. There's Jason Alexander. I was right. I remember. It was so memorable to me. I was like, who are these? Like an Asian dude, a black princess. Where's the dad? That's a white guy.
The prince looks like he has like dead apathetic eyes, like his soul has been crushed.
There's oh no. Run away. Moisture is the essence of wetness. The wetness is the essence of beauty. Thank you.
Ugh. Was that Zoolander?
Yeah. I am sitting because I cannot stand your nonsense. I recently found a funny YouTuber who does the Dio pose in a bunch of parodies. It's great. I'll now proceed to pleasure myself with this fish. Oh my god.
Oh no. No.
Jesus.
Leave the poor underwater pooch alone.
Starfish have their mouth in the center. Mouth. Okay.
Very happy starfish. I told you.
Yeah, she doesn't. That's obviously a doctored photo. She doesn't have starfish. She has clamshells.
Yeah, she has seashells.
Yeah.
Although I think they are A shells.
I hate your job. Try asshole protection. Yeah, what is going on here?
I can see the very remote connection to the video because they were clearly not dealing with reality.
Yeah, I'm hoping these are.
Oh, maybe the women from the take are astral projecting from another dimension. That's why they get everything wrong about our world.
I hope this is like some sort of exercise posture thing. I don't know what the heck it represents. Anyway. The take never fails. It's always what we expect. It's, they're consistently bad. They have dumb takes. I don't know why they would do that. Like, it's like calling yourself crap. Everything
Somebody's
we do
financing them
is crap. Like, it's like pillar of garbage. Everything I write is a giant pile of garbage. It's like, yeah, dude, you got your name right. So yeah, the take is just absolutely horrible. Their opinions are not founded on reality, or their interpretation and their lenses are not very useful. And in no way, shape, or form was The Little Mermaid a trans or queer allegory or metaphor. They didn't explain it. They didn't show it. The only evidence they had was the dead tranny guy who died, that performed. You couldn't make.
It's not a tranny.
Cross-dresser.
Cross-dresser. Sorry.
The closest thing you can put it as is Unrequited Love, which would be the original story. And then you can make the connection to Hans Christian Andersen's life. But turning that into a story of unrequited love by him putting that into a normal heterosexual couple story shows that it is that there is a universality to it, and it's not about gayness or anything like that.
And I don't think you even need to know that to know how tragic and beautiful the story is.
And he understood that.
And the theme and message of the story to be as clear as it is. So Disney obviously wants to make stories for kids so they're happy, as opposed to
used to.
Well, we don't need really scary films for kids anymore. I mean, can you imagine if they just told the original Brothers Grimm?
No, I think we do. I think we do need them.
Not in the format for Disney though. Disney does a big grandiose production.
Did Disney ever do those?
I don't think they're the right studio.
Did Disney ever do scary for children?
They do. No, probably not. They do scenes which are downers, where the hero sort of loses and they come back up. There's sort of that and it comes back up, but it always wants to end high. It wants to get back up there. It wants to bring the audience back.
Oh, you can do that, and I think movies like Mononoke Hime are great examples of that.
That's different. Japan.
Kid can watch that. It will be tough. There are tough moments, and it ends on a high note.
I think that Disney should remain the family-friendly, happy. Let's keep people normal and happy. Let's at least do that much. What they're doing now is crazy. So they got to go back to that. If they want to reinvent themselves as the Brothers Grimm, it's not going to work.
And they're not doing Brothers Grimm.
What's what I mean? If
they're not doing that, they're just doing this weird ideological garbage.
Yeah, they got to get rid of that for sure. But if they start doing Brothers Grimm and reinvent it as that, I don't think that's going to sell as well as what they've been doing with Frozen and all these other popular ones that are just fun to watch. They're simple. They're for kids. They're for singing and dancing. And the multi-language options are great. So if you want to learn or help your kid learn a new language while they're singing and dancing, that's a great way to do it. But yes, I do think we should have Brothers Grimm buy another studio. Anyway, that was the take. We can never go wrong. It's just silly stuff. So, and not as bad as the other people we cover. So, every month or so we should do a take video. It's great. Anyway.
Yeah,
since we ran out of some other people,
Yeah, probably. Well, there was that one with Maggie where she says, "Why is Clint Eastwood?" That's the title of her video. We might cover that soon, but it's up to you.
Yeah, that was the Little Mermaid as a queer allegory explained, or as the video was fucking saying instead of what the title is. I guess they forgot what the original title was and just called it this. But from what they were saying, it just sounds like the Little Mermaid as a trans metaphor explained.
Yeah.
Now my head is just bleeding.
No, it was a horrible. These are horrible videos. But they're not as bizarre, quirky, stupid, insane as Maggie May or the Renegade Cut stuff. It's just we are.
This is.
I'd say
this is professional, easy propaganda.
Pop. It's like this basic understanding of psychology and history or whatever book, surface level.
Basic misunderstanding.
Basic misinterpretation, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the suggestion. I do appreciate it. We might not do the Last of Us one because it's a very long video and there's very few people who actually watch the show on the panel. Unless you guys in the chat want to come on and talk about that. It's not for everyone. And we're going to have to schedule when you're available. But if not, we're going to have to go back to the voting and see what's up next. But thank you so much. We'll see what we're doing tomorrow. We'll talk to you real soon. Have yourself a good evening. Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.